I had no idea. Hello. Like, call in, sub, join, Discord. I got no idea what I'm going through. Brother. Is this? Oh boy. I got no idea what I'm going through.
Called what is this? What is
Everyone can see. Okay, brother. How's it going? Anyone here? Who's here? Yeah, the MAGA worship. The MAGA worship, all the idiot pedophile. To be the MAGA voter, you gotta worship the pedophile. And live. Alright, I got one more live to set up and I'm good. Okay, cool. We're all go. Oh, all cool. We got 2 likes on the stream. Do more. What's up, brother? Oh boy. Okay, we saw the clips of this, brother. So Tim Pool on Jubilee, everybody saw the clips already. Most people saw the clips. He got his ass kicked. He rage quit a couple parts of this debate when someone called out Tim Pool for trying to antagonize a civil war in America to make money. So it's going to be a fun time.
I'm not going to support those individuals.
If there's any copyright issues, I'll probably go to stream on TikTok, but we'll see. We'll see if they keep my stream up. We'll see. Sometimes they shut it down. Jubilee's pretty tight on copyright.
So, but the authoritarian practices today, you're willing to look past.
Some of them, yes.
Come on, man.
The mainstream political left commits more violence than the
Okay.
mainstream political right.
None of what you're saying makes any sense. It sounds like
It
you're
does.
honestly grifting a lot.
You can say that
Let me
there's
ask you a
civil
question.
war every fucking year and it doesn't happen. And
I
you're gonna
never
say
said
it just
there
hasn't
was.
happened yet.
Do you want me to get you a
I'm just saying,
soapbox?
it's really
I can leave.
easy.
You want me to- you
It's
want me to
really
go?
easy to
You want me to
do
leave?
what you do.
You want me to
It's
leave?
really easy to do what you do.
Is the United States tracking towards civil war?
Bro, that shit's so sassy. Want me to leave? I can leave. I can leave. I can go. Do you think that looks good? It looks strong to run away?
Or is America more united than it seems? Hi everyone, I'm Paris Rose, and I'll be filling in for John today. From Jubilee Media, this is Surrounded, where one brave soul faces a room full of disagreeers. Today we're debating which political party is more violent. Is authoritarianism on the rise in America? And have both parties abandoned their oath to the Constitution? I'm here with our featured guest.
Both sides are bad, guys. We're going to hear so much freaking both sides are bad. Bro, we're going to hear both sides are bad like a million times. But Democrats are worse. The whole argument, bro. Yeah, they're both bad, but Democrats are worse. That's their cope. Cope.
Moderate political commentator Tim Pool.
Hi, I'm Tim Pool. I'm the host
Wait, what
of
did they
Tim
call
Cap-
him? What did they just call him? Sorry, I took my headphones off.
Our featured guest, moderate political commentator
Moderate political commentator Tim Pool? Moderate political
Tim Pool.
Hi, I'm Tim Pool. I'm the host of Timcast IRL, and today I'm surrounded by progressives. My first surrounded claim is that the mainstream left commits more violence than the mainstream right.
If you'd like to be the first debater, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
How's it going? Hey.
Great to meet you, buddy. How you doing?
Likewise. Pretty good.
There seems to be like a broader implication with your prompt that there's this domestic threat from mainstream left politicians. Like, do you really think Hillary Clinton's like leading the Vanguard Revolution Party? Like,
No.
What is your take?
When you look at the violence that we do see, I describe it as from blunt to acute, which is with the fringe extreme right, you'll see extreme mass shootings. You'll see, someone will show up and they'll unload on people, things like that. On the left, though, you'll see riots, vandalism that you don't see from the right. But the point I'm making is that when you break down the ideology that motivates individuals that commit political violence, there is more often an overlap between what the Democratic Party espouses ideologically and what we see in street-level violence, as well as maybe assassinations,
What
versus
is it-
what the Republicans would espouse.
I mean, I couldn't disagree more. What ideology is that the Democratic Party is promoting that leads to these types of violence? Anytime you see an act of violence that's typically attributed to the left, it is immediately condemned by every Democrat politician.
Indeed.
You couldn't point to one that actually endorses that. Where you have
arguing
somebody
that.
like Donald Trump, who's literally the president of the United States, saying that we should call for the death of congressional members who are fulfilling their civic duty and saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't fulfill illegal orders if you're in the military. And Donald Trump's asking for them to be put to death. How is that not
it's terrifying.
inciting to violence?
No, that's absolutely terrifying. I completely disagree with that. My point more so is that when you see, say, the George Floyd or the BLM riots, you end up with Biden and Kamala themselves promoting fundraisers for those accused of committing these crimes. During
Which
these riots,
crimes could you point to?
So in Minnesota, you had there was a firefighter who opened a sports bar. It was burned down. In fact, when the local news went to interview him about his dream bar being burnt to the ground, it was ransacked. I don't think it was burned to the ground. They while they're filming the story, there were people looting a safe and stealing it.
Well, I think that there's absolutely a big difference between a lot of the private buildings or private enterprises that were targeted versus like public institutions like the police precinct. Like, you're somebody who I've seen the iconography on your show. You're a big patriotic guy. You love 1776, right? That wasn't the most peaceful way that we had, criticizing our government or saying that tyranny shouldn't
How long
exist
was the
here.
Revolutionary War
But I will
going
say-
on before they signed the Declaration?
I will say that the police precincts, the same people who committed a brutal murder using state violence in order to justify that, I think we can understand why people would rightfully be mad
Which
without
political
any
parties in
accountability.
control of the
Okay, by the way, in 2020, George Floyd protests, COVID, the entire crime rate was up. The crime rate was up everywhere. People who were violent in the George Floyd protests were largely idiots taking advantage, okay? That's why the No Kings protest now, outside of COVID, had the lowest crime rate, lowest arrest rate of like any protest in American history. It was also like the largest, remember that. And also Trump is trying to give $2 billion of our taxpayer dollars to January 6 terrorists from January 6 who are on video beating cops. He wants to give them billions of dollars. So this whole argument is obviously insane, but
police department in Minneapolis.
That is not the central. First of all, we're talking about the mainstream political left. Which politicians are endorsing that type
Never
of
said
behavior?
politicians were endorsing.
And the fundraiser that Biden and Kamala did, they were for the bail funds. So bail funds, if you do peaceful disobedience, okay, if you sit somewhere too long and the cops say to disperse and you don't disperse, or something like that, if you do a sit-in, the bail funds are to bail you out. People think bail you out means like Monopoly, you're out of jail. You're not out of jail. Bail funds literally so you can just like provide bail.
Then what's the mainstream left?
So you have activists, whose ideology aligns with politicians who are
You'd
courting
say that those
votes.
activists identify with the Democratic Party, the
No,
ones that
I
are
would say
committing
that the
violence.
Democratic Party courts
Because let
their
me tell
vote.
you, the leftists
think-
that you could talk to, not the biggest fans of
Is
the
the
Democratic
Democratic
Party.
Party in favor of Black Lives Matter?
I would say yeah. I'd
Were
say
the
even
rioters
most
supporters of-
moderates. I'd say actual
Indeed.
moderates,
Absolutely.
not right-leaning conservatives who
Were-
claim to
were
be
the- were
moderates.
the riots
Usually
based
those
off
people
of-
also agree that police violence is something that should be
Were
discouraged.
the riots Black Lives Matter motivated
They were motivated.
by Black Lives Matter? So that ideology is espoused by.
No,
so
but
my point is
Black
this.
Lives Matter is not encouraging violence.
I didn't
Black
say
Lives
they were.
Matter is recognizing systemic inequality
Never said
where
they
it
were.
happens.
They were telling people to go be violent. I'm saying that there are violent individuals, and with the riots, a lot of them, which we've seen.
Can you tell
how,
me
how
who
about this?
Chris?
Let's
Tell me who Chris Ray is. Do you know who Chris Ray is?
explain this to me.
Well, you have a show talking about politics every day. I would think that you know. But Chris Ray was the former.
Let's not do this. If
Well,
you have a
he
point
was-
to make, let's make a
yes,
point.
Sir.
Let's
yes,
not
sir.
try and play
Yes,
these
sir.
games.
So Chris Ray was the former FBI director under Donald Trump's first term.
Yep.
He said that he even agreed with the findings from both the congressional research session that right-wing violence is way more proliferate in
But
this
we're not
country
talking
than
about
left-wing
that.
violence.
That's not
That
meaningful
is.
to a voter. Let me explain. The Republican Party rejects neo-Nazism, correct?
No, Donald Trump invited Nick Fuentes to have dinner with him, with
You-
Kanye West.
So tell me one politician who went out and campaigned for the neo-Nazi vote.
I'm blanking on his name. Gozar in,
Is that a
in
mainstream?
Arizona.
Whenever Trump says that Haitians eat cats and dogs and Somalians have natural low IQs and we must send them back to their home countries, for which they are blamed for making quote unquote shitholes. And when Trump says that immigrants have low genetic stock and low IQ, like all that stuff is campaigning for neo-Nazis. When Trump told the Proud Boys stand back and stand by, like all of it's not even direct. Like you can just, yeah, all that shit is catering towards them people, you know.
View in this country.
Well, we could talk about Gozar. We could talk about Matt Gaetz. We could talk about.
Matt Gaetz is not
Chris-
endorsing neo-Nazism, and Donald Trump
Are
said
you kidding me?
Nazis should be condemned entirely.
No, he is literally partnering with the America First movement. He was a
America First
chosen
and neo-Nazism are totally different.
bro. So you don't think do you think Nick Fuentes is a neo-Nazi?
I
Oh, I
would-
forgot
I
you've
would-
had him on your show. Oh my god.
They are different because America First can sound better as branding. The KKK, that was one of their main slogans, to be fair. So it is intertwined, but the nationalism of today can include people like Nick Fuentes, who's a gay Mexican, right? It's not all the Aryan race that you'd expect.
I literally forget.
I wouldn't describe Nick Fuentes as a neo-Nazi.
You don't think that Nick Fuentes celebrating Adolf Hitler is not neo-Nazi adjacent?
I think you have to be very specific on what your terms are. And so when you go to an American voter and
Celebrating Adolf Hitler would be the most direct definition of neo-Nazism. Like,
say something like,
This is our moderate, by the way, everybody. This is our moderate.
indeed.
true.
So,
Thank you.
When you go to a regular American and ask them what is meaningful to them in terms of an election, you don't have Democrats or Republicans endorsing violence. But you also don't have, Charlie Kirk's a good example. He threw out Nick Fuentes, he threw out white identitarians, white nationalists from his events. They were not welcome. That's mainstream. You don't have riots coming from the Republican Party and the right, although you do have January 6th.
Wait, if Charlie Kirk threw out the far right as well, Nick Fuentes, why does everybody assume that Tyler Robinson is a liberal? Why do they assume that? Maybe he's a groyper. Who knows? You know, there's a lot up in the air about that.
And things like that. When you take a look at the shootings of the Tesla facilities, the execution of Aaron Danielson, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and one of the attempted assassinations on Donald Trump, not the Pennsylvania one, you can see the underlying ideologies overlap with the Democratic Party. When you take a look at like Nick Fuentes, he's opposed to the Republican Party. He's been actively endorsing Democrats right now.
He's been saying that the Republican Party is too left for him. It's not that he's opposed
That's
to the
my
Republican
point.
Party in principle.
This is literally my point.
No,
Nick
but-
Fuentes comes out and says, "Do not vote for Trump."
What-
The mainstream
when-
Republican
when
Party
you-
is at odds with these people.
No, again, if you're looking at all of the empirical data, the violence is way more on the right.
But
so
that's not
you
the
can say
claim.
what your feelings are. You
That's
can
not
say
my
that.
feeling nor the claim.
No,
it is
that-
not meaningful to a voter to say we don't like neo-Nazis and white supremacists because the
It's
Republican
meaningful
Party
to say.
is not saying
It's
they want
meaningful
a
to
white
say.
America.
Let's be objective of where the violence is coming from, and if it's more substantially coming from the right, that is a problem that
But
needs to be
it's
tackled.
not coming from Charlie Kirk.
Okay,
who
we're
was
not
killed.
talking about Charlie Kirk. We're talking
No,
about
we
the
are
overall
We are not.
ideologies.
In fact, we're not.
So you're telling
That's
me
not my claim.
You're telling me that the prioritization of hierarchies, both ethnic, both cultural, that is not a dangerous ideology. But
never said
something like
that.
BLM that says, hey, maybe we should take back police violence. Maybe we should have accountability for people who are in charge of certain aspects of our.
Let me be very clear really quick, because he says that like Charlie Kirk doesn't cause any violence. When Charlie Kirk, and by the way, drop a like on the stream, guys, drop a like everywhere, and this point's going to be fire. When Charlie Kirk says that prowling blacks blacks stalk little white girls in cities. And when he says bloodthirsty, low IQ immigrants are going to invade America to dominate the white majority and make sure that our women and children are not safe anymore. And then ICE agents are hired who are psychopaths, who are literally psychotic, bipolar, manic depression, wife beaters and child beaters, like what happened in Maine, for example. And they just, end the life of an innocent man for no reason other than that he's brown. He's here illegally. That freak show up there in Maine, that one ICE agent, his former ex-wives say he is abusive, he's psychotic, he's known on record to be abusive. Any background check would disqualify him from being a Walmart greeter, let alone an ICE agent. When that is the system in America that we are upholding, yeah, Charlie Kirk's rhetoric does turn to violence. It doesn't not count just because we have federal agents with a license to kill. Like, yes, when you say there's prowling blacks and prowling brown illegal immigrants coming to kill our women and children, that's what Charlie Kirk is causing. Yeah.
Nation committing violence on citizens, those are absolutely completely different ideologies. And the fact that you're saying it is more motivating for violence, that the left wing is encouraging people to take those that are committing violence accountable.
In the last 10 years, there have been over 465 incidents of left-motivated political violence that align to the Democratic Party, and there's been one on the Republican side, which is January 6th, which admittedly is particularly egregious. January 6th was, that's why we talk about blunt versus acute. Now, the problem is,
they don't talk. There's a kid in New Jersey that drove down two liberal girls after Charlie Kirk was killed with his car. A Charlie Kirk fan killed two liberal girls. That's political violence no one talks about because they did not like Charlie Kirk. Remember that story in New Jersey? Those two young white girls that were mowed down by that Charlie Kirk fan in New Jersey. No one talks about that right-wing political violence ever because a white kid did it. Because a white kid did it. What about the violence in that by the In-N-Out a couple weeks ago? Because a white kid did it, no one cares.
Like FBI stats in Cato, but it's not meaningful to me or any voter to tell me why white supremacists are violent, because I don't like white supremacists, nor will I vote for them. And more importantly, you bring up Nick Fuentes, he is not aligned with Republicans, and he's advocated against them.
I think for somebody who has a political show where you talk about this stuff every day, you are completely misreading the conversation when you're saying that those that are engaged in like civil disobedience are like Democrat voters. You're telling me that those people are canvassing for Democratic politicians,
never said that.
which is
I'm
absolutely
actually,
not true.
Absolutely in favor of canvassing. I'm in favor of protesting.
I'm not saying that you're against that.
So
but I'm saying
don't try and frame my argument like I'm upset with protests, because I've defended Black Lives Matter blocking streets. I've defended left-aligned progressive groups like anti-capitalist groups blocking streets and environmental groups. I stand with civil disobedience, and I've defended them every single time. If you want to block a road, there's
what
a
is it that you're saying is more violent on the left? You mentioned Black Lives Matter. You mentioned these protests.
Let's talk about the Tesla facilities being unloaded upon or shot up, right? These are motivated by an ideology that you will hear from Elizabeth Warren. Now, of course, she's not telling people to shoot anybody, but she is coming out saying Elon Musk is a dangerous threat to this country. And then you end up with someone going and pulling a rifle up and shooting up a Tesla.
When you understand that the right always says politicians are not responsible for individual actions. Elizabeth Warren saying, hey, maybe we should have the same sort of economic policies they have in Scandinavia.
Why was
that is not her encouraging, go shoot up a Tesla facility. Where Donald Trump saying, let's hang the people who encouraged those in the military to actually fulfill their duties. That is completely.
My claim is not that the right is completely innocent.
He's the leader of the Republican Party, my dude. To say that these are equivocable at all is completely false.
I condemn 100% what Donald Trump said, calling for the death of those politicians.
We have to.
Okay, I found the quote, by the way, for everybody saying that it's not a real quote from Charlie Kirk. What did Charlie Kirk mean by this?
Time in urban America, prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a
prowling blacks. Prowling blacks go around for fun to hunt down white people. Jesus Christ, bro. Holy shit.
Move on.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk did politics the right way, Ezra Klein. Thank you.
Great to meet you, Tim.
Likewise.
If you'd like to be the next debater, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Hi.
What I find.
Love your live. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the new TikTok audience, guys. Please drop likes. This is my first time having 3 consistent TikTok streams with decent viewership. I'm usually on YouTube Shorts. Thank you, YouTube. I'm not forgetting about you as well. Please drop likes on there. And thank you for joining me. I take phone calls after I react to these videos, so I debate Trump supporters. Viewership usually drops when I do that, but we still have good conversations.
What's really interesting is the whole premise of like the Occupy Wall Street movement was to protest, right?
Indeed.
It was specifically geared towards making sure that the general public was understanding the situation at the time, which had a lot to do with anti-capitalist motives, right? And so when we're talking about who's more violent than who, we have to be very specific that the violence that is recorded in the data is not ideological violence. It's not this like rhetoric. It has to be evidentiary. So if you're going to say like, oh, Black Lives Matter, and any leftists that are associated with that are automatically violent, that's just not the case.
I didn't say that.
But that's what you're implying.
No, I'm implying that when you have riots in this country, overwhelmingly, the underlying ideology aligns with the mainstream left ideology of this country.
But what you're saying in your prompt that you wrote is that the left is more violent than the right.
The mainstream political left commits more violence than the mainstream political right.
Right, the mainstream. And
Indeed.
what I'm trying to tell you is that the data is not showing that that is the actual evidence. If
It
you're
does,
talking,
actually.
no, it doesn't.
It does. My team has put together over 10 years
75 to
465 instances.
80% of violence, actual violence, that is being tracked as domestic terrorism comes from the right. It's white supremacist groups.
And white supremacists are not in a large political party getting voted for.
Yes, they are. The
They're not.
Republican Party is very largely right wing. It is very far right.
But they're not white supremacists, nor are
Yes,
the
they are.
Americans voting for Republicans.
Dog, they were carrying Confederate flags, wearing Auschwitz camp shirts on January 6th, beating cops with lead pipes and American flag poles, and chanting the different minorities will not control us or overtake the white race in America. And those people got pardons. They went out to be child abusers, and now they might get millions of dollars billions of our taxpayer dollars. Like,
Republican Party because they
what
want
do you
white
think
supremacy.
make America great again means?
I think it means making the economy improve. I think it means
No.
building our cultural institutions. Well,
According to what?
yeah, when JD Vance shares a picture of Minneapolis, and JD Vance says, "Why does Minneapolis look like freaking Mogadishu?" Yeah, that's about making the economy better. Yeah, sure, bro.
Time. According to what time? I'll give you that.
probably the 80s because Trump's an old man.
I
would say the 90s.
Seriously doubt he
90s
meant
were
the
great.
80s. He's much older than the 80s.
Well, your interpretation of Donald Trump's opinions is separate from when we see a riot, what is motivating the riot? When we
his
see
opinions
an
lead his
assassination.
policies, don't they?
Indeed, and
Wouldn't you say
no
that's
one
what
here
politics
is
is all
making the
about?
claim that Donald Trump is innocent, nor does he not have individuals who would
But you're
engage in
attempting
violence
to
based
make
on
a
similar
claim
ideologies.
that his type of ideology that leads his policy is not nearly as violent as the left,
How
which
many
is
riots have there been from the right?
largely anti-capitalist, which is largely anti-fascist. None of what you're saying makes any sense. It sounds like
It
you're
does.
honestly grifting a lot.
How many Republican riots have there been?
I don't know the
Is it
exact
one?
number.
Maybe one in
but what are
January
you
6th?
classifying?
What are Republicans going to riot over, bro? They control the entire government. They control the entire country. They've done it for the history of this country. Like, what are they going to riot over? Like, what systemic? I would hear, bro, if there were right wingers that wanted to bring up some systemic issue that they really cared about, I would be full on ears, all right? But they don't got shit to talk about. That's why the only time they riot or whatever or protest is because of freaking January 6th or because of abortion or because of another like made up religious issue for them. Like, what, dude, if you want to bring up a real issue, a real problem that we got to fix, that our government is neglecting, I'm all ears, bro. Show me, tell me. Bro, let your voice be heard. Use your voice.
Which is a
As a
bad one.
riot. What? Because if you're
Let's say-
conflating
let's say
protesting with rioting,
we're not.
that's a very different
No,
thing.
we're talking specifically about people.
Bro, all the Republicans, like, I had to talk to a black person today. I had to walk through a mall, and in the mall, there were immigrants around me, brown people. I had to see brown people. Women have their own bank accounts. That's like the right-wing oppression nowadays, bro. Like, come on.
ransacking Tesla facilities, vehicles, charging
You're
stations.
so obsessed with the Tesla thing. Why don't we actually talk about?
I think it might be because
I don't
someone
know
took
if
a
Musk
rifle and
I
started
don't know if
shooting up a
Musk
building.
is like investing in your company or something, but let's like remove the Tesla out of it. That has nothing to do with what your actual prompt is saying.
no, that's
It
actually what my
sounds-
claim is.
No, it sounds a lot like
Well, then you're arguing
you
something else.
decided. No, you're arguing something else because it
I am
sounds
arguing
like you
something
went
else
from
from you.
somebody who was doing really important work in Occupy Wall Street to then
Which was what?
grifting all the way to defending
was the important
far-right
work?
people. That's crazy.
What was the important work?
What important work?
You said I was
in
doing
terms of Occupy Wall Street.
Yes.
I think, you know, in terms of that movement, I thought it was it was one of the first times in our generation that we were able to see an actual organization against capitalism.
Can I ask you how old you are?
No, you cannot ask me how old
Were
I
you
am.
politically active during Occupy Wall Street?
Yes, I was.
Did you follow the news about me during Occupy Wall Street?
Not specifically.
And the news was that Occupy denounced the violence. I had filmed leftists deflating police tires who physically attacked me, and I was attacked by a masked individual smacking my camera out of his hand. Occupy
so this is a
Wall
personal
Street
vendetta for you.
then
because
gave
a
me
single
indeed.
person
If
or
you're,
a
if you're
small
getting
group of
emotional about
people-
this and you don't want to have an argument,
I'm not
that's
gonna-
fine.
Do I look emotional, guys?
You do
I feel pretty
because
relaxed.
you don't know what happened during Occupy, and your argument is off because you don't.
This honestly sounds like you
Okay,
have
pause,
a personal vendetta
pause.
from your.
Thank you for a $5 super chat on YouTube, Spencer. If I was in the chair, I would ask Tim Pool, why do you act like your fridge temperature IQ? You know what words mean. And I would keep insulting him when he cries. Me too.
For
Not an
history
argument.
that has
Here.
absolutely nothing with what your
Not an
actual
argument.
prompt
You have to
is, which
pause it
is
here.
Not an
around
argument.
You have
far-right
to
people
pause.
being much more violent than the
argument.
left.
We have to pause. Love the passion, but pause. All right. If you'd like to be the next
Yeah, right-wingers protested with their guns because they had to wear a mask for a couple weeks outside of like the Michigan Capitol. That's when they protest, bro. I don't want to wear a mask. I don't want to wear a mask. That's what they protest for, bro. If they protested for like, I don't, against big pharma or some shit, but no, all they complain about are trans athletes and immigrants because they're a bunch of, yeah,
Vader,
whatever.
please get to the chair. And 3, 2.
If you disagree, by the way, if you're a right-winger, I will take phone calls once I'm done reacting to this video. Okay? Remember, any disagreements you may have.
You got it. Nice to meet you.
Join my Discord. Join my Discord.
I think we should just get to the heart of it. Donald Trump is a fascist.
call in.
He has Nazis in his administration. His entire
True.
messaging was
True.
resonating with Nazis from the
True.
very beginning.
True.
Donald Trump, when rallying for 2024, had a massive rally in Madison Square Garden. What was the significance of that rally?
You tell me.
Yeah, it's the same place, same date as the Nazis in the 1940s.
Hey, that's a
Literally.
coincidence.
Donald Trump said that
That's a coincidence,
immigrants
bro.
are poisoning the blood of America and their environment. Who also said that?
You tell me.
Hitler. Literally. Donald Trump has openly said things as dog whistles. So you may say that it's not mainstream, but the entire ideology of the right speaks to those people.
Ask Tim Pool, why do you think Trump quoted Hitler? Why do you think Trump quotes Hitler all the time? Tell me, Tim Pool,
Let me
why?
ask you,
Why?
what do you mean by fascist?
Far-right, authoritarian, ultra-nationalistic,
Oh no, but Tim Pool wants to debate the term fascist instead. Of course.
14 tenets of fascism,
I mean,
all that.
but there's a specific definition of fascist. Do you just mean that he's an authoritarian?
No, I mean that he meets all 14 tenets of fascism.
Which is what?
And now this guy's entire rhetorical argument got destroyed. Now he's talking about some 14 points of fascism bullshit. You got to hold Tim Pool to answer the question. You have to frame it in a more aggressive manner that forces Tim Pool. Now Tim Pool's answering the question. Now Tim Pool's asking the questions. So this guy came in strong and just gave up his position.
You want to go through all 14 points?
I'm trying to understand your argument. But so my point largely is we see people say Trump is a fascist, but there's, if you go to an academic and you look at fascism, say Italy, there's a common
Mussolini.
argument that you have the merger of corporation and state as the defining element of what fascism is. I would
There's
define,
different forms of fascism, right?
Well, and that's the point. That's
The
why I asked.
actual premise is the authoritarian. Donald Trump is absolutely a fascist. He's, like I said, he has Nazis in his administration. I
Like
think
who?
we're shifting. Pete Hegseth.
How is Hegseth
He literally has a proud Nazi tattoo on his chest.
He does not.
Stephen Miller is absolutely a Nazi.
This is the worst way the conversation could have gone, bro. You can't just like prove people are Nazis and like it gets confusing. Stephen Miller is technically he's Jewish, so it's like, oh, Jewish, not, it just doesn't make sense. Use other. I've made this mistake before. You got to make them answer questions. You can't do this.
Seth
Miller,
does
his-
not have a Nazi tattoo on his chest.
That's yeah.
No, he does not. He has
cross
a
on
You
his
Catholic
can't do
cross
this.
on his
Like,
chest.
Okay.
you're gonna lose this conversation
I mean,
this
guys,
way.
look, I went to Catholic school when I was little. I
Yeah.
left in fifth
Sure.
grade.
So-
Pete Hegseth is not a Nazi.
Yeah, that's
Because a lot of the racism they do is going to be concealed by American culture and wearing the flag and America first.
okay. Cool.
It's complicated.
Question for you: when Donald Trump and his administration specifically actually implement policies that go at the heart of what Nazis want,
Which
right?
is?
Targeting
Which is what?
the first group of people they target was the transgender community. Same things in Nazi. The actual Nazis specifically targeted people that weren't like them. There's been a
Wait, who said Stephen Miller is not Jewish? Yeah, Stephen Miller is Jewish.
persistent and
I
consistent
don't know why
attack
you don't
on
know that,
undocumented
but-
immigrants, black people, women, anyone that's not a straight white male in America.
My principal claim is not that Donald Trump is innocent, nor
Yeah.
perfect, nor good. My claim is that when you look at street level.
Yeah, because the whole story is Stephen Miller's family actually fled from Europe as refugees. They fled from Europe. He's Ashkenazi Jewish descent. and he escaped. His family escaped the Russian pogroms and the Holocaust from Eastern Europe. He grew up in a Jewish household in Santa Monica, California, and his whole childhood was him just like hating minorities. He hated minorities his entire childhood.
Violence, domestic terror, etc. You'll find more violence coming from the mainstream left.
But my last pause. Stephen Miller is from a rich liberal family, a rich liberal upbringing, by the way, just so you know.
As opposed to the mainstream right.
Sure.
Because I do think it's fair to point out white supremacists are violent. They do evil and horrible things.
Yeah, I wanted to get
and
to that.
we all condemn them.
The white supremacists are a part of the mainstream right.
But they're not.
They literally are.
There's no circumstance
All right,
where
we're
you
gonna
can go on
pause here.
TV.
Thank you. You can return to your seat. You've been voted out.
Nice meeting you.
All right, if you'd like to be the next debater, please
Didn't
take
Stephen
chair.
Miller's
3,
brother or
2,
something? Didn't Stephen Miller's brother call him evil and say that his family escaped persecution, and that's why Stephen Miller's immigration policy is hypocritical?
The first thing I'll say is I think it's a bit disingenuous to characterize all of the property damage committed during BLM as left-wing violence, because there are going to be rogue opportunists during the biggest civil rights protests in American history. That's first and foremost. The second thing I would like to say is I don't think it makes sense to confine political violence strictly in the context of individuals acting with political motive violently. I think it ignores institutional violence. Theoretically, you could say the 1960s civil rights movement was more violent than the counter-protesters, but obviously the institutional violence of segregation.
I completely agree.
Right. So, so what I would say is that the Republican Party is, and the mainstream political right is far more violent because they support ICE ripping and separating families from one another, even from people who have no criminal background. ICE deaths under ICE custody have skyrocketed even as a matter of war abroad, etc. But
domestic, I'd love to talk the war stuff. I'm a big foreign policy guy. But domestically, did this not happen during Barack Obama's administration?
It did, but not to the same extent.
Agreed.
And Barack Obama was criticized for it by who? The political left.
Agreed.
Right.
So my point is not to say again that there's no violence on the right, and I think the institutional argument is actually a good one. However, my view largely is when you look at Occupy Wall Street, for which I was there and I watched police instigate fights, or when I was on the ground during the protests on West Florissant Avenue, and I saw police throw a flashbang grenade at protesters who were not doing anything violent. The issue is these police are under Democrat administration still, where their chiefs are often appointed by Democrat politicians. So again, I understand the left and progressives.
That to me is also a little disingenuous because it's not as though the police, as a matter of its institution, is a left-wing institution.
No, it's
in fact, usually the police are protecting and on the other side of left-wing protesters.
If you want to make the argument that ICE under Trump, I'll make the argument of police under the Democrats.
Sir, well, I don't know. Well,
By the way, on TikTok, make sure you hit the follow button. I might have to restart my live. TikTok is limiting the visibility of my live for watching a YouTube video. They don't like React content, so.
Does law enforcement defer to their politicians or not?
It depends. Because ICE is an executive agency, they do.
And the police department in Minneapolis is under the Democrats, yes.
Right, but
and we all agree that there's problems there.
But they're criticized and often on the other end of left-wing protesters. So, for instance, the protests against ICE here in Los Angeles, it's usually against left-wing. So, what is it? Left-on-left violence? Is that what you're claiming?
Sometimes, yes, absolutely.
You think police protesting against or committing violence against left-wing protesters? It's left-on-left violence, really?
Yes.
I think that's ridiculous and absurd.
The police who live in these cities tend to be more moderate, but they're not.
Are you brain dead, bro? The police in every city are going to be. There's no liberal, maybe some moderate officers, but there's what?
For committing violence against left-wing protesters.
Okay, bro.
It's left-on-left violence, really?
Yes.
I think that's ridiculous and absurd.
The police who live in these cities tend to be more moderate, but they're not hard conservatives.
But is the institution is policing as an institution
particularly
a left-wing institution?
In New York, well, I define a left-wing institution.
Exactly.
What I would say is Democrat politicians are the ones appointing these police chiefs and these administrations who are enacting these policies.
But are they?
So when you are voting for someone into office, this is not conservatives doing it. It's not mainstream right-wingers putting in police that beat protesters.
But who?
Someone said some cops are left-leaning. Yeah, some cops are left-leaning. There's no such thing as a democratic left political or police department, bro. There might be some random cops or whatever, but there's a huge thing about like LA and all these liberal areas about the police gangs, and they had some of the most historically ruthless police gangs in American history in these so-called blue areas.
Who politically supports the police as a matter of their rhetoric and ideology?
Indeed,
the right or the left?
The right. But the right doesn't live in these places.
Yeah, but
nor do they appoint these people.
Sure, but
don't tell me that ICE under Donald Trump, but not police under Democratic politicians.
Hold on. the left doesn't appoint protesters who commit random acts of violence
completely
against
agree.
property.
That's not my argument.
I know, but earlier you were making the case that it's the ideology that motivates what these rioters are doing, and that's the reason why the left is ultimately responsible.
What I would say is the
can I just-
underlying
can I just-
ideology is overlapping with the Democratic Party.
Sure, and so what I'm saying is that if you want to be consistent, the underlying ideology that supports the police and as a matter of institution, and when the police are cracking down on left-wing protesters, that's overwhelmingly on the side of conservatives.
Except
So
they're
by
not
your
in
very
power
logic,
in
that
these
should be-
places, and you're applying a locality to the nation,
They
which
may
doesn't
not
make
they,
sense.
they may not be like technically
The police
empowered,
are not
but, like,
motivated
I
by the
don't know- I don't
Republican Party to
understand-
go out under a Democratic
but
mayor to arrest protesters.
The problem is that the police is still, as a matter of institution, is more of a right-wing institution than a left-wing
Certainly,
one.
even
and
even
they're
in
usually
Democratic
on the other
cities.
side of.
But the point is,
of
a police
left-wing
officer who
protesters.
goes out in New York and arrests a protester does so at the behest of a Democratic politician.
I don't think
Pause.
It's true.
What?
Voted out
That's
by the
not true at
majority.
all, bro. It's just like,
All right, if you'd like to be the next debater, please get to the
even Mom Donning in New York City being like the most far left, probably like prominent politician in America right now, he needs to have a more right wing police commissioner and like police chief and everything. Like he needs to have right wingers, just to keep the police listening to him. Because if he appointed a far left police commissioner or something, then he would have no control. He would have no influence at all or sway with policing in New York City. Like, it's a very right-wing. It's obviously a right-wing institution. Whatever Tim just said right there is insane.
chair in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, young man? Listen.
Oh yeah, I haven't been young for a minute.
Now, slow down with that. Listen,
Oh,
I
all
think
right.
it's really quick. The I condemn is a really cheap cop-out that's not going to work.
It's not an argument.
Because the people around us are not low IQ, like your average viewer. It's important to recognize. So I'm about to.
You don't have one? Is that it?
I'm
If you
about
want to
to.
be insults, we can go for insults and
I'm about to.
We can rap.
I'm about to.
You wanna rap?
Stop delaying my time. So it's important to recognize that simply I condemn is not sufficient when the Republican Party has created a permission structure for individuals to go out and do violence
Like what?
against, I'm about to tell you, with
go.
impunity. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is a good example.
Law enforcement.
The Trump administration, they
Through an
violated,
electoral process.
you know they lost in the courts 10,000 times, right?
That's not true.
It is true. Politico actually released a
10,000
report on it.
times.
Yeah, they lost 10,000
I'm
times
sure it
in
would
the
be
last
like
year.
10,000
They murdered
and three.
numerous American citizens. And guess what happened to the individuals that carried out those killings? What happened to them?
What happened to
Have
him?
they been prosecuted? Any investigations? Do you know?
I believe they have not.
Why? It's almost as if when you commit violence,
You're wrong.
you are going to be protected. That's what's going on. That's why Kristi Noem went out and said that Alex Preddy was a domestic terrorist. That's why Stephen Miller said the same thing. And everybody in the entire Republican Party apparatus is echoing those talking points. Because whenever there's violence, they don't condemn it. They condone it, they congratulate it, and they pardon it.
Law enforcement, duly elected by a population that voted in plurality for ICE to go out and engage in these
Kill American
behaviors.
citizens?
Which sometimes, yes, absolutely. And
Oh, they voted for ICE to kill American citizens, really?
yes. Do you?
They're average Republican. I don't like that.
Wait. They voted for. Did I hear that right? They voted for ICE to go kill American citizens. Did I hear that right?
Kill American citizens.
to go out and engage in these
Kill American
behaviors?
citizens?
Which sometimes, yes, absolutely. And
Oh, they voted for ICE to kill American citizens, really?
yes. Do you?
They're average Republican. I don't think they're that
Who
crazy.
said the average Republican would vote? But do you not believe that there are people in this country that would vote for ICE to harm people? Is that
Is this your argument?
Do you believe?
This is terrible, Tim.
So you think not a
is so
single
bad.
person in this country wants to harm
What's
illegal
the
immigrants?
relevance? We're talking about the fact that there's a
Wait, what?
top-down approach by Republicans like Donald Trump.
Can I ask?
The argument is the left committing more violence than the right, that Tim Pool's trying to say. And what he just said is, maybe right-wing voters voted for a government that would do the political violence for them, which is that is true. Like when ICE murders somebody and there's no crime scene preserved, there's no evidence preserved, there's no trial, no investigation, no nothing, no charges, no nothing. Like that's by design. The political violence of the right wing is largely institutionalized in the government. They have a license to kill. But I'm surprised that Tim Pool just ate that bullet. Like what?
You the question
to
again.
justify
Can you answer?
murder
Can you answer the
and
question?
allow it to happen, foment violence in this
Can you-
country.
can you answer
and
the
you're running
question?
cover for it
Can
as
you?
a
Can
moderate.
you? Actually, you just did.
No, I didn't.
See,
I actually
I'm
condemn
pointing out.
ICE violence. You're saying that people vote for it or whatever.
You don't think that there are white supremacists voting for ICE to go and harm migrants?
Are you saying that white supremacists voted for Donald Trump so they could kill migrants?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
Okay, good to know that white supremacists
What?
make up part of the Republican Party and Donald Trump's doing their bidding.
Yes.
Wait, bro, what is Tim Pool? What is the argument? What's the angle?
I certainly believe they do.
Okay.
The initial claim that I'm making is that there is absolutely violence on the right. I already agree with one of the previous debaters that there's institutional violence from the right as well.
Is this Tim Pool trying to be a moderate? Because the title says, you know, 1 moderate versus 20 liberals featuring Tim Pool. He's trying to be a moderate here. So he's like, yeah, white supremacists voted for Donald Trump because they wanted to see ICE agents kill American citizens and immigrants. Like, he just ate that bullet for no reason. Like, okay, bro. Okay.
The best argument against my claim actually is that the right, when they get levers of power, will use law enforcement as their vehicle for the violence that they want to engage in.
Okay, that's actually like, yeah, that's the point I would make, but it kind of defeats your entire argument then. I don't know.
Those things are all fair. My point is that we are not
That's
seeing...
a nice long drawn out concession. Thank you for...
But it's not a concession because maybe we agree.
Oh, okay.
See, I think...
Wait, didn't you say the modern political left commits more violence than modern political right? So now you're saying...
Just because there are riots coming from the left does not mean they're morally right or wrong, or does not mean the right is better or worse. This is a statement about volume of violence that we see and a meaningful issue to a voter as to what is the underlying motivation that we see pushing violence in this country. So when you have ICE going out and engaging in these actions...
This is like a Clarence Thomas level of interpretation with that prompt. That is not what
I don't know why you're trying so hard to disagree when we actually have common ground.
Pause, we are out of time. Thank you.
Nicotine, the ultimate biohacker's secret weapon, has made a wild comeback. But why is that clean lifestyle still fueled by big tobacco's chemical-laden slop? For those who switch out LEDs for incandescence, source raw milk, and tobacco's secret weapon.
What did they just say to me? What did Jubilee just say to me?
Nicotine, the ultimate biohacker's secret weapon, has...
The ultimate biohacker's secret weapon?
Has made a wild comeback.
The biohacker, the ultimate biohacker, bro?
But why is that clean lifestyle still fueled by big tobacco's chemical-laden slop? For those who switch out LEDs for incandescence, source raw milk, and read every single label, it's time to stop compromising. Introducing...
What? Raw milk? Switching out light bulbs? What?
Milk, and read every single label, it's time to stop compromising. Introducing Knick Knack, the nicotine solution that actually complements a clean routine. This family-owned company manufactures a superior nicotine lozenge right here in the USA. Affectionately known as a lip brick, this fully dissolvable option is crafted with just 6 premium ingredients.
Man, this Jubilee company is trash. Like, I don't know if they're owned by a foreign country. I don't know if they're owned by, like, what enemy of America owns them. And they launder these far-right positions, and they're doing these crazy alternate, like... these insane alternative health advertisements, like
including real essential oils for authentic flavor. There are no pH adjusters, no plastic pouches, and absolutely no waste. Available.
Okay, cool, nice, surrounded, cool, awesome.
This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
My next surrounded claim is that the Democratic Party has embraced authoritarianism.
If you'd like to be the first debater, please get to the chair in 3.
Yeah, I don't trust these people, bro. These Jubilee people, bro.
3, 2, 1.
That was fast.
Yeah, nicotine is very addictive, very destructive, very bad for you. Some people have fun taking it because it's an addictive drug, and they like it because it's an addictive drug, but okay.
Nice to meet you. Let's start off not by, oh God, don't make me defend Republicans, but let's go.
All right, let's talk about authoritarianism.
Yeah.
What does an authoritarian government do?
So it's typically, and particularly in my claim, it's a reference to suppression of dissent, suppression of speech, control of voting, or manipulation of voting for the power, let's just call it control by...
Yeah, true, Kyle. This product is for people who drink raw milk. This product is designed for all the raw milk drinkers out there. Yeah, bro, what?
A particular group of politically...
Let's take those claims one at a time.
Yeah.
First, on suppression of speech.
Indeed.
Just a few hours ago today, Trump subpoenaed reporters for trying to report accurate information on the war in Iran.
Wow,
he said,
that's terrible.
No, that can't happen.
Awful.
That's way more authoritarian than what we're seeing on the left here.
Well, I mean, it's hard to quantify what is more or less authoritarian, but certainly bad when President Trump is trying to stifle speech.
Wait, can you give any example of Biden doing anything even comparable to that?
I can. We can start with Alex Berenson, who is currently in a lawsuit because the Biden administration personally went to social media platforms using his name to be suspended for his reporting on COVID vaccination and mandates.
Okay. At a top level, though, who's doing the majority of the, actual suppression of speech here?
I don't really have good words for the Republican Party, to be honest. My issue with this debate is, in fact, what we're seeing right now is that I'll make a claim about the Democratic Party, which has done awful things, and the immediate response is, but the Republicans.
Here's the thing.
And I don't like Republicans.
Here's the thing.
we live in a two-party system.
Correct.
Right? We can have this great grift of like, oh, well, the Democrats are bad, but we can, and the Republicans, they might be worse, but the Democrats are still bad. But the option.
By the way, Tim Pool is the same guy who was celebrating that Renee Good and Alex Preddy died, by the way, and fully covering for it and happy that Trump got away with it. And yeah, he's totally a moderate, nonpartisan guy, dude. He's chill. Tim Pool is mask on right here for this crowd.
Is between Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
So if Republicans are worse, it doesn't really matter if Democrats are slightly bad.
No, I think Democrats are worse.
We don't love Democrats, but we feel that Republicans are way worse when they institute these far more authoritarian policies.
It's hard to quantify more. The question is, does it suppress speech? And I certainly think Donald Trump has taken actions.
Let's look at human lives. If we want to do like a quantification here, let's look at ICE. 3 American citizens have been killed by ICE. That's way more than the number of American citizens killed by immigration enforcement under, say, Obama.
But it's way less than the amount of American citizens killed by Barack Obama.
No,
it is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Look. I don't want to be disrespectful, but one of the biggest issues to me is the extrajudicial assassination of Abdurrahman al-Awlaki by the Obama administration. And this is what, early on in my life, when I was very anti-war, very lefty, still anti-war, and voted for Barack Obama, and then he murdered.
Are you in favor of the war in Iran?
Absolutely not. And Barack Obama killed a 16-year-old American citizen who was at a civilian restaurant in Yemen.
We can play
These are
this
all
game.
bad
we
things.
can be like, oh, well, both parties are pretty bad. But like, we have to, when they go to the ballot office, when I go to the ballot office as a voter, I have to actually put in a vote. I have to decide Democrat or Republican or throw my vote away.
Okay, this guy's a little bit annoying. I'm sorry. I'm going past him. I don't like... he doesn't know enough about Tim Pool. So Tim Pool is paid by Russia, and the Russian propaganda, kind of like Tucker Carlson does and Candace Owens. So they all do this thing where both sides are bad. Both sides are bad. But one side is not as bad. So people go to the voter booth. They don't need to like Republicans. They just need to hate Democrats. Right. So they can be like, oh, I'm such a moderate. I'm so fair. But the reality is it's another form of propaganda because they know they can't make a positive argument in favor of Republicans. Like there's no way to do that. So they just got to throw shit around and hope it sticks.
You made it. I'm surprised you made it.
So one of the key parts about authoritarianism is influence over elections. And we've seen that throughout the history of right-wing and left-wing, the right-wing side of this country has constantly been election deniers. Famously, Trump tried to find votes in Georgia to win the 2020 election. And now we're seeing that they're claiming voter fraud in the city of Los Angeles mayor's race.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How many presidential elections in the last 20 years were denied by Democrats?
Were denied by Democrats?
0.
Mainstream members of Congress going on the floor, rejecting it?
None.
All of them.
Do you see the Democratic Party trying to create an alternate slate of electors to actually try and overturn
that's a different
democratically
argument.
elected?
Certainly a different argument.
I mean, years later at this point, after giving a pardon to election-denying child abusers, cop beaters, they still deny the results of the 2020 election. There's nothing comparable whatsoever. Hillary Clinton conceded the next day. In 2000, it was so close. There were legal challenges that happened. And then Al Gore conceded after, I mean, he could have kept pushing if he really wanted to.
No, that was in, I think that would have been 1960, but certainly not in the last 20 years. So we can completely agree Trump's efforts in 2020 were substantially different from, say, a handful of members of Congress and high-profile personalities coming out and saying the election is illegitimate. But I will say, while it is not particularly mainstream, there actively are groups across social media that believe the election was stolen. Just go on Threads for a few minutes.
God, Threads.
You will see tons of progressives arguing the election was stolen.
Tons of bots. You know, I'm really
well,
big
if you don't
believer
think
in the
they're real
dead
people,
internet
that's
theory.
fine. I agree with the internet theory.
Yeah, we're talking about Threads accounts, bro, of all social media platforms, Threads, versus the Republican god, Trump. He's not their president, by the way. He's their god, too.
Really, so.
By the way, on TikTok, if my live ends on TikTok, I'll put it right back up. Just refresh my page because, like I said before, they're giving visibility restrictions because they do not like reaction content. They don't like reaction content on TikTok, but I'm trying to give commentary as much as possible to make it transformative. But the AI, detects it sometimes and smacks it down. So just refresh my page if you want to keep hanging out with us.
So look, if you're talking about the right versus the left, overall, again, we are talking about the overall picture here. Where is the majority of this coming from?
Well, let me ask you a question. You mentioned California.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you a question. Let's say there's an election that takes place, and a ballot comes in 3 days after that election. It's signed with a picture of Mickey Mouse, and it's hand dated. Do you think that is a real vote?
So guess what? In California, when you don't have a correct signature, you can do this thing called ballot curing, where you take that ballot back to the voter and you say, is this really you? And you have to get that signature again.
But
in that
I asked
case,
you a
I
question.
don't think they registered with the Mickey Mouse signature.
Well, that's actually legal in California. In fact, the example given, I think, in Santa Barbara is a Kirby star image. Now, the challenge with this is, and that's why I'm not a fan of the fraud argument from Republicans. Just stop saying fraud. This is legal in California. In California, you can draw a picture of Kirby star in any manifestation. Now, the problem is signatures.
The fact check here says the Santa Barbara Mickey Mouse signature claim traces to a rhetorical comment by a local Republican official about in-person polling place sign-in sheets, not evidence that a ballot with a cartoon signature was accepted. So there's no evidence of this, okay? There's no voter fraud found. The GOP, the Republicans investigated. The review found no voter fraud. It was an internet meme. It was a big meme joke, okay? But Tim Pool's repeating it like it's facts.
They're supposed to be unique to an individual because they would be falsifiable. Meaning, I've never seen your signature before. How can I match it? But if you sign up, if you register to vote with a picture of Kirby, anyone in the world can draw that picture of Kirby. So in California, the challenge that
but not everybody has the same name, the same social security.
No, but the point is, if a ballot is received by a homeless shelter, anyone can fill it out and draw a picture of Kirby Star.
No one is going to risk federal prison time to vote in a presidential election in California. Like, why would someone risk federal prison time to a felony of illegal voting to vote in California? Like, why would anyone ever? That's why it doesn't really happen that often. Like, it's very seldom, or it's a mistake, or it's a Republican doing it because they actually are trying to illegally vote. But like, just think about the logic.
So there's a limited number of ballots that get sent to registered voters who are registered with the state.
Well, it's
and go
universal
through a
mail-in voting. And for instance, there was a homeless shelter in Venice Beach that received 185 mail-in votes despite no one living there. And so,
yes, because
again,
people that live on the street have addresses registered to shelters because they don't have anywhere else to get mail.
And so what we've already seen
That's
is
true.
undercover
That's
video
true.
showing that activists do go to places like Skid Row and secure voter registration, where in one video, a man who's clearly not a woman says his name is Teresa. Sure, he'll fill it out. Now, the problem is that man will fill this out under the name Teresa. He will sign, he'll put an X, a mark, which is legal in California. The other issue is that ballots can be received. So it gets complicated, but in California, if a ballot is received before the election, it can be hand-dated. If it's received after the election, it has to be post-dated. However, a ballot can only be rejected if two independent officials can prove beyond a reasonable doubt it has violated one of these tenets. So I do take issue with Republicans saying voter fraud all the time when it's legal to do this in California. But I think if you go to a regular American and say, you ask him this question, and I'll ask you this question, how did Nithya Raman surpass Karen Bass, both Democrats, in mail-in votes only after Election Day?
Because young people vote later, and Nithya Raman won the young vote.
Well, the truth is that the DSA on their website advocates for ballot harvesting, which is legal, and they're allowed to do it, and more power to them. It's very smart.
So do the Republicans. They go to senior centers all across the country and get.
We're gonna pause here.
Bro, it's always a conspiracy when they count all the votes and the vote count changes, bro. Whenever they count all the votes and someone else wins, it's like, bro, how the hell did the numbers change? How did the one person get more votes at the end? Like, it's got to be a conspiracy, bro. We can't prove it.
Voted out by the majority.
But
You can head
good talking with you.
seat. If you'd like to be the next debater, please get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
No contest. Likewise.
Elections, as you were talking about the other person before, I think are sacred. I think elections are sacred, and I believe that they are the most fundamental thing to American values and democracy. We have never seen, ever in American history, the attempt to subvert a free and fair election compared to how Donald Trump and his cronies did on January 6th. And I think that it's absolutely ridiculous to claim that that is somehow comparable to the Biden administration talking to Facebook and certain social media platforms to ban Donald Trump, when social media platforms have been under attack by Donald Trump as well. We had in Florida how the right now chair of the RNC is now pursuing legal action against Facebook, Twitter, etc., for banning Donald Trump, which was a decision that they made without Biden's interference.
Well, I don't think arguing like a civil litigation is it's hard to argue civil litigation as a big political issue. If there's a contract violation committed by a company and Trump wants to sue them, certainly if you have the opinion you don't believe that you believe there's malice there.
It's the current RNC chair.
Right. My argument is
pursuing like regulatory action against them for banning Donald Trump.
Right. So these are civil issues, and the challenge is I don't know the facts. You don't know the facts.
You don't think civil issues can be political?
thank you for $5 super chat on YouTube, Spencer. At the end, he made a good point about conservative ballot harvesting with seniors. I work in a retirement community. It happens a lot. And by the way, yeah, the Amish community in Pennsylvania, the Amish community in Pennsylvania, MAGA Trumpers ran one of the biggest ballot harvesting operations ever with the Amish community in Pennsylvania, and the Amish are not even supposed to vote, according to their own rules. Which of you morons picked Pim Tool as a moderate? Thank you for $2 taking notes.
Certainly can, but the point I'm making is that sometimes companies do bad things, and we need regulatory bodies to go after them. I'm in favor of that. Now, the question is, are the Republicans bad for doing it? Honestly, I don't know, because I don't know.
Yeah, the term voter harvesting, it means something different legally, but I'm saying it in the term of what Tim Pool thinks voter harvesting is, if that makes sense.
The underlying issues of the case. Maybe they are, maybe they're not.
So I'll bring up another instance. I mean, in Massachusetts, for example, we just had 2 Republicans who were running for attorney general and lieutenant governor who were literally faking signatures on their ballots.
Lock them up.
Literally.
The argument, the Republicans do it too. Cool, sorry. Or Republicans are the only people that do it. Here, let's try this guy right here. For what Republicans think ballot harvesting is, it happens more on their side.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
So, yeah, you're not going to have me defending the Democratic Party. I mean,
let's go.
I feel like a lot of people,
and I don't want to defend Republicans
we're moving
either.
towards fascism on both sides. I do want to bring up 2 unique things that Trump has done that no one has ever done in United States history. So 2 is suing a pollster for a poll he didn't like in the state of Idaho. And I think the biggest issue is the Israel issue.
Yeah.
So
Super
you have
funny.
someone like Trump who, sold TikTok to Larry Ellison, and he also owns CBS News.
Oh yeah, Paramount entirely.
Right. I think we both agree that's just not good, where you give someone a media apparatus, and a social media apparatus like TikTok.
These things worry me for sure. I think where we're going to agree with Democrat and Republicans is the issue of Israel particularly.
Yes.
If we're talking about authoritarianism, this is why I say don't make me defend Republicans. There's some things I will, but the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, I feel like as an establishment, largely align with each other, and then there are these lesser issues that divide. And I think when you look at TikTok, I'll tell you this: the TikTok was sold explicitly because of Israel.
Right.
So the story is this. Initially, Republicans were very mad about TikTok because it seemed to promote progressive content, progressive ideology. Republicans had been banned. People who supported Trump had been banned. So the Republicans come out and say, we got to ban TikTok. We can't do this. Democrats said no. But then something changed. After October 7th, we saw the rise of content critical of Israel and supportive of Palestine. Yes. All of a sudden, the Democrats are like, you know what, now we agree with Republicans and we've got to ban TikTok. And then Trump comes out and says, no, we're not going to ban it, which he does not have the authority to do. The bill was passed. It was signed by the president. When Trump came in office, he was supposed to initiate that ban. But instead, what did he do? He sold it to a supporter of his to change the structure of that content to benefit his worldview, which does a
After Trump got millions and millions of dollars from Chinese investors in his cryptocurrency. So there's a good chance that Trump's lack of banning TikTok came from him getting payouts directly from Chinese officials or Chinese executives that own TikTok. There's a decent chance some of the biggest TikTok people donated to Trump, or not donated, paid Trump off as well. So that did happen as well.
line largely with many establishment Democrats.
That's why I say people talk about Israel as the only country. Trump is bought out by every country. Anybody, anyone, even small country, he's bought out every angle. It just changes based on who's in control at any given moment. There's so many countries that have him by the balls.
Yeah, I agree.
Some more than others.
And you have him sanctioning the ICC, the prosecutors. I mean, this is the fascism we're talking about. So when you have Russia and China that don't want to participate in the Western system, this is why. Then you have France, that's trying to get away from the tech companies because our own politicians in those that legislation, they put that that any country that has these databases will be forced to give the data to them.
I think if it is not a singular issue of Donald Trump. Clearly, the Democratic Party joined in the cheering on of the banning of TikTok because of this content, and so I think that just shows that we've got an authoritarian problem in this elite circle of whatever the military-industrial complex or big banks and all of these wealthy groups.
Yeah, it's not Trump's fault. It's Trump's advisors. It's the big banks. It's not Trump. Trump is not corrupt.
They're interested in similar things.
No, yeah, I agree.
Okay, we're going to pause here. You've been voted out by the majority. You can return to
Well,
the
we
chair.
got a little bit. Nice meeting you.
If you'd like to be the next debater, please get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
By the way, guys, I might cover this then. John Ossoff's speech tonight, or today, or was that yesterday? I don't know. Maybe today, yesterday. Was that today? maybe it was today. I don't know when it was. I have to check. But John Ossoff's speech this weekend is my favorite political speech in probably like 10 years. Like it's, oh, he's really good.
Nice to meet you.
Got to say, I'm not a fan of either party, to be honest.
Let's go.
Same boat as you on that one.
Yeah.
The left embracing authoritarianism. Right now, they don't have the House, they don't have the Senate, they don't have the White House, they don't have a majority in the Supreme Court. If these guys are authoritarian, they're the crappiest authoritarians I've ever seen. They got to go back to authoritarian school and learn how to be authoritarians.
Well, or how to win. Right, losing, you can still be an authoritarian. Like Nazis lose power, but they're still Nazis.
Well, they're losing at all levels. They're losing everywhere.
Yeah, the Republicans crushed them. And I think...
Doesn't mean they're authoritarians, though.
Well, no, I mean, you can be an authoritarian and lose, right?
Okay, so there's 3 actual elements that we need to talk about authoritarianism. One is dismantling of institutions, one is eliminating your opponent, and suspending elections.
Those are very specific claims to some authoritarians.
I haven't seen those elements present within the left at all.
Donald Trump was arrested several times.
With exception of one.
Yeah, because he did illegal things. Yeah. Trump was arrested because he did bad things. On TikTok, guys, appreciate you guys hanging out. I'm on YouTube Shorts too. If you want to hang out in the YouTube Shorts chat, it's a lot more lively. There's 1,000 people watching on YouTube Shorts, 100 watching on TikTok. But if you want to stay on TikTok, I'm resetting my TikTok live stream. So refresh my page if you want to keep on watching. But I'm going to see if we can get more viewers in by doing a new live. But I'm going to restart it right now. But yeah, I appreciate you guys.
That was the eliminating opposition. And I did see it, but
so
it was...
when they arrested Donald Trump several times and then tried to get they filed a suit to the Supreme Court to get Trump banned from being able to run.
I don't remember that, but I do remember some guy at a rally going,
the 14th Amendment question.
Lock her up. Who was that person again? I forget. All right, it was the same guy who weaponized the DOJ against all his political opponents, or deployed the National Guard to beat down on protesters, deployed
when
ICE
did he deploy
to
the
terrorize
National Guard
families and tear apart communities, or launch the SAVE Act to try and just put voter suppression tactics in place so we could steal an election. Imprison protesters for 10 years for marching down the streets. Or tell the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by. I'm ready to mobilize you to launch another insurrection. Let's go,
if you'd like a soapbox,
who was that guy again? I forgot. Who was that guy?
If you'd like a soapbox, we can set one up for you. But if you want to have a conversation, I'm sitting right here.
Go for it. I think the position is indefensible, but I'd love to hear your take. Go for it.
Well, you're allowed to not like Trump. He's done a lot of bad things. Thank you. Now, we were talking about the Democratic Party, the things they've done, and I think, and I'm not saying this derisively, but I think there's many things that you're ignorant of the Democratic Party has done. You talk about suppression of their political opponent. Well, yeah, they sued so that Trump could not run for office. They tried to claim he was an insurrectionist. He was ineligible. He was arrested several times. They arrested his lawyers. Now, by all means, every authoritarian makes the argument they're justified in their use of authoritarian tactics to remove their political opponents. That doesn't change the idea, or I should say the philosophy behind what they're doing. So if you want to accuse Jenna Ellis, for instance, of doing something wrong because she drafted a letter arguing on Trump's behalf, that's authoritarianism. By all means, you can say she was wrong to do it, she's a criminal, but we are seeing when you start going after people's lawyers, by all means, tell me you think she's a criminal and deserves it, and I will tell you, the people of this country now stand in fear that Democrats are going to arrest them if they engage in illegal practices.
We're going to pause here. We are out of time.
Absolutely. My next surrounded claim is that the United States is tracking towards a civil war.
If you'd like to be the first debater, please head to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back.
Yep. You miss me? So, listen, I think that we are getting closer towards a peak of civil unrest in this country, and in all honesty, I'm going to blame people like you. This entire time, you've been trying to blur the line between what separates you and a person like me and everybody in the circle. Okay. The truth is you don't agree. On your show, you have 5 white supremacists around you and 1 liberal lawyer talking about why we should protect the Constitution. On Twitter, you're mentioning the Civil War and why we need to have a Civil War 24/7.
I've never said we need to have a Civil War.
No, you've said Civil War numerous times. Slates of screenshots over the last 4 years alone.
Saying that
I'm not
there will
talking
be
about shooting ivermectin up your ass.
I've never
talked all the time.
I've never advocated for ivermectin. You have literally no idea what you're talking about. You've not done any research, and you've never used Google. I've never advocated for ivermectin, not once.
He's not going to stop talking.
I've never used it. I've never used ivermectin. I said no. You shouldn't use it.
I'm going to get to the point here.
So if you want to make things up,
are you an intellectual or are you too much of a child
you want to just waste time, then we can waste time. But if you have an actual argument, so if you agree with me on the issue, but you don't like me, then we can agree and you can leave.
No, I think you're responsible. I think you're responsible.
You can get up
and
and
leave. An individual like your mouth.
If you agree,
you just don't want to finish. You know where I'm going to go with this.
Do you agree?
You so mistrust the United States institution.
You're allowed to blame me all you want, and then we can agree and you can leave.
You just want to run away from the
Are
conversation?
you here to dispute my claim or agree with it?
I think you're responsible.
That's fantastic. Thank you and have a nice
Oh,
day.
you don't want to hear why you're responsible?
It doesn't matter because you're here to dispute my claims, right? Not
It
agree
doesn't
with
matter.
me?
You don't. All of a
Is
sudden, you want to
this-
stick to the definition
is
of
this
your
the
claims when it comes to just
agreed
about
show?
everything.
Are you
Everything
supposed
else
to
you want
agree with me and
you
sit
wanna
here and
ch-
agree
You're not
with
going
me?
to stop talking, are you?
Are you going to sit here and agree
Are you
with
going to
me?
control yourself? You're like
You're
50
gonna
years
sit-
old,
you're
bro.
gonna sit
Calm
here and agree
down.
with me?
Calm down.
You come down,
I
you
don't
sit
agree
down,
with you.
you
I
don't
disagree
shake
with you on
hands,
everything.
you make fake claims.
Of course I do.
I've
If
never
anybody's
advocated-
doing something that
never
they don't
advo-
actually
never
believe in,
advocated
it's you,
for
because you're getting paid by
ivermectin.
other
In fact, I
countries.
argued
You're
with
an
Joe
asset
Rogan
for our
on
foreign
his show.
adversaries, bro.
I
You're an
advocated on
asset
Joe
for our foreign
Rogan's show
adversaries.
against ivermectin.
David, can you please address the claim?
I think America is getting closer to civil war, and it's all because of people like Tim Pool.
Thank you for agreeing with me. Have a nice day.
Yeah, you're a coward, bro.
Well,
Hey, yo. Good shit. Good. I honestly think people like Tim Pool should not be accepted as honest conversation partners. Like, you should not ever approach him as if he's serious. He is literally paid by foreign governments to make our country go closer to a civil war. His goal is a civil war because he makes money from it. So great job.
Man, I
Love
don't know why
that.
you're here.
Love it. Good job.
Also, I would recommend doing research before you come to a place like this.
If you'd like to be the next debater, please head to the chair.
Bro, I love it. I don't care if he seems like whatever, coming up and yelling at Tim Pool. Bro, yeah, do it. Who cares? Tim Pool's a bitch. Who cares?
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back.
Damn.
Good to see you again.
Great to see you again.
Yeah.
First time we talked about this was in 2019, so it's been quite a while
I think it was
since
before
you've
that,
been calling
actually.
for civil war.
I've never called for civil war.
Or not calling for, I'm sorry, said that we're on
Important
the brink
distinction.
of civil war.
And what was the citation I had for when I said that?
I would love you to
It was
tell
The
me.
Atlantic.
Okay.
And it was a journalist who interviewed several national security experts who said that there is a range of opinions in the national security space that the U.S. is trending towards a civil war. Notably, that when you cite people like Stephen Marsh, journalist, as well as Barbara F. Walter, former CIA, the U.S. Academics describe the period that we're in as civil strife, meaning there's a criteria of death that has occurred for political reasons over the past year or years, for which the next phase would be civil war. However, we'll make my point, tracking towards it, I've not said that it will happen. Although there's been many people who have said that we are in a cold civil war or some kind of cultural civil war, I always caveat because I don't actually have a strong prediction.
First of all, you do have strong prediction if you've been saying this since 2019. There's
Well,
42,
reading articles about
people
it,
can
sure.
look this up, there's 42 of your titles that have the word civil war in it
Correct.
with big fonts on the front.
They sure do.
So why is that? It's sensationalist. It's easy to get clicks on that. There's a reason why you say it, because it's very profitable for your business.
Not necessarily.
But there's
We
there
have
comes a point-
1,600
Tim Pool,
episodes
Tim
of
Pool,
just
Tim
IRL.
Pool. There comes a point where people stop taking your prediction seriously.
Are you going to make an
If you've
argument
said-
or are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you. I'm
Okay,
trying
then
to
let's make an
explain.
argument about whether
I'm
or not
trying.
we are tracking.
Can
No.
you relax?
If you're making
The
an
point-
argument, you
no,
don't
Tim.
like my thumbnails or you try to say my name over and over
I'm
again.
saying that you say bullshit in order to get money. But what
Let me
I
ask
really
you-
think
let
is
me ask you a
the
question.
predictions.
Let me
Hold
ask you-
on.
let me ask you a
Tim,
question you can't
I will
answer.
agree with you that there's increased polarization. I would attribute a lot of that to people being specifically online.
Let me ask.
There's
I
a
don't
lot
disagree.
less interaction
I
with
completely
people
agree.
that are in
Sure.
different camps.
Let me ask you a question.
But you're going to sit here and tell me that we're way more polarized than Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr, who like shot each other with their disagreements. You're going to
Why
tell me
was
that
Aaron
Andrew
Daniels-
Jackson, who's the sitting
Do you want
president,
to have a
calling people out for
conversation or are you
duels,
going to be
is
angry?
not
Why was
polarization?
Aaron Danielson shot in the chest twice?
Sorry?
Why was Aaron Danielson shot in the chest
I'm
twice?
not disagreeing that political violence is
Answer
taking
the
place
question.
in
You say
Tim
Alexander
Pool.
Hamilton and Aaron Burr, but then when I ask you a question about an assassination, you defer.
You can say that
Let me
there's
ask you a
civil
question.
war every fucking year and it doesn't happen. And
I
you're gonna
never
say
said
it just
there
hasn't
was.
happened yet.
Let me ask you a
Or
question.
if it does happen, you say, see, I've had it all
Let me
along.
ask you a
You
question.
are the same thing as
Let-
like the
let me
Christian
ask
rapture
you
people
a
who say
question.
that the rapture's coming every fucking year,
Are we-
and when
are-
it doesn't happen,
do you want a
it's like, oh,
soapbox?
it's not
Do you want me to get you a
happening. I'm
soapbox?
just saying,
I
it's
can
really
leave.
easy.
You want me to
It's
go?
really easy to
You want me to
do
leave?
what you do.
You want me to
It's
leave?
really
Bro, he's
easy.
gonna run away.
Like,
He's
you
gonna
literally
leave.
say, Civil war is happening next year. Civil war is happening next year. It's coming. Make sure you subscribe to Timcast. Continue to watch my videos, please. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. It's easy to do.
Bro, his name is like One Hand. He single-handedly kicked Tim Pool's dumb ass, bro. Russian paid ass. Tim Pool, that's my biggest thing about Tim Pool. Civil war, civil war, civil war. Every thumbnail, every conversation is about driving us further apart and making us come back together to clash. And that is Russia's goal, is to make America fight each other and have more social antagonism. Like that is like, yeah, good. Run away, bitch.
Nobody's actually had a debate yet. Are we going to actually talk about whether it will or will not happen? I mean,
You're a piece of shit, bro. You don't deserve a real debate. Like, to be honest. Like, you call for Americans to fight each other because of your foreign daddies that pay you to make America collapse and to support politics that encourages America's collapse. You don't deserve respect on any debate stage. This is good. I like people doing this on Jubilee. Jubilee is a bullshit program, and they deserve this energy.
sounds like it's gonna.
All right. If you'd like to be the next debater, please head to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome.
Thank you for a $5 super chat, Spencer. I'm going to pin this one. We found out the definition of what is a woman. And that definition is Tim Pool. No offense, women.
Nice to meet you. Hey, nice to meet you.
I feel like that's more offensive than calling someone a bitch is calling a woman Tim Pool, to be honest.
We are being constantly fueled by the people that are already in charge, that are up on top, that are already wealthy, and that already have power over the entire government. Donald Trump has 8 billionaires in his administration, including himself. You see his sons profiting, you see his friends profiting, you see everyone in close ties with him profiting. They're not going to give up this power. I don't think we're on the verge of a civil war. I think we're due for a revolution. Well, and I hope that's peaceful. I hope that's not violent. I hope we change.
This is fantastic. No, I appreciate this. Can I ask you some questions? Yeah. Do you believe that Donald, and I'm not trying to accuse you of believing this, but do you think that Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
Do you think that they're...
I'm sorry, let me respond to this guy's claim really quick. He said not a civil war, but a revolution. There will be no structured thing, whether it's a civil war or a revolution. Those two things are not happening. It would be social chaos. It would be total destruction of all of society, and it would just be massive cataclysm. Like, it would not be like, we're having a revolution for this goal or a civil war. It would be like gang warfare. Like, it would be scattered. It would be violent. There wouldn't be any like real goals. It would be our foreign adversaries winning and dividing America. So far, they divide us to the point where we can be conquered by anything. Like, it would not be a structured revolution or a civil war.
This is fantastic. No, I appreciate this. Can I ask you some questions? Yeah. Do you believe that Donald, and I'm not trying to accuse you of believing this, but do you think that Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
Do you think that there are Nazis in his administration?
Which I don't think that's going to happen, and we have to fight to make sure it does not happen.
In his administration? Few. Yeah.
Do you think that I mean, how do you feel about them using the military to go after undocumented migrants in this country?
I think it is an unnecessary use of force when we should be targeting violent criminals that have come into this country illegally. That should be the sole focus when 70% of detainees in ICE custody do not have a criminal conviction. We're wasting resources and trying to use a show of militaristic power, which is a huge proponent of fascism.
How do you feel about the death of Rene Good and Alex Preddy?
Unjustified.
Are you going to do anything about it?
I'm going to rally everyone here.
Is rallying going to stop murder?
I don't do this.
Is rallying going to stop the killing of people?
I annoy my few hundred friends and followers on my Instagram post by reposting news stories.
Do you think rallying will stop the killing of people?
What I'm doing here now is trying to show people that they need to speak up, that we're not against each other right and left.
Do you believe speaking up will stop ICE from killing people?
I think speaking up will get us to the right process of voting people in the midterms and in the next election so that we can make changes the constitutional way.
How many people do you think will die between now and then?
Too many. There's already been too many people that have died.
So again, this is largely based off, I don't know if it's...
So wait, are you trying to incite a civil war?
No.
Do you want a civil war?
I'm asking
so
if you actually believe...
What do you want to do against ICE?
I like ICE.
Then you're happy that they're killing people?
No.
Okay, so what are you going to do?
I'm going to vote for Trump again.
He's the one that's allowing ICE to kill people.
To be fair, I'm going to vote for J.D. Vance.
As I just said, he's the one not taking accountability.
See, I think there's a distinction here. For one,
Mr. Anti-corruption, anti-establishment, Tim Pool is going to vote for J.D. Vance, a creature of the swamp, like the most pure creature of the swamp possible, J.D. Vance.
The claim is meant to be like nonpartisan, but I have, of course, my partisan views.
Of course.
I like the Trump administration, though they've done a lot of bad things.
And that's fine.
And we can call it those bad things, but I'm going to continue to support it. My point largely is either the progressives will stand up against what they perceive as fascism, or fascism takes over.
Which they are
now,
doing.
By all means,
we just had the largest protest in the history of the United States.
Hey, make sure
your argument
We're gonna pause here.
Thank you. Make sure you drop some likes, guys. We have 164 likes on YouTube. I want 200 likes on YouTube. I want 1,000 likes on TikTok. Please, make me so happy. I'm not gonna read every super chat, guys, so I don't pause too much. But thank you for the donations. I'll read every super chat when we're done reacting to this, and I'll take phone if you disagree with me. If you don't like what I'm saying, if you don't like it, once we're done reacting to this, we got around like a half hour left. I will take phone calls from you. Okay, so if you want to yell at me, keep your disagreements written down and call in then.
If you'd like to be the next debater, please
And
head
follow.
To the chair
Make sure you
in
follow
3,
too. Drop a follow
2,
on the page.
1.
Okay, so the whole thing about civil war is that I do think that you need some sort of leadership, that is being financially disenfranchised to incentivize a civil war. And we don't really have any strong progressive leaders in office currently that are being meaningfully financially disenfranchised the way slavers were. So I think that
you don't. That's the challenge. I think.
Yes, that is absolutely, yes, that
you
is
don't. If you take a look at civil wars throughout history, we can use the Syrian civil war as an example. It started with a dozen or so disparate factions, largely of locals and various ideologies ideologies that ultimately coalesced around one group, either the Free Syrian Army, but then ultimately got taken over.
Right, sure,
Civil
but the
wars
thing is-
can.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is this the same woman from this? Is this the same person, or do they look similar?
just-
Do they look the same? Do you know this clip of
Gonna
the
be
3
totally
baby
honest with
daddies?
you. But the reason is not too fucking.
You know
Your
this
wife
one?
has 3 baby daddies and has been married twice before.
And you.
Is that?
Under
you
under
lick
your,
sniz.
Yeah, dude. Is this the same person as this? I feel like she looks similar.
Can be
that, like-
fomented through small
No, that is her. Okay. Sorry.
factions that bubble up.
Sorry, I couldn't tell. I think her hair's shorter here. Her hair is definitely shorter.
Certainly, but I think that you are vastly overestimating.
stupid. I'm dumb.
The kind of militant
Charlie? Okay.
capacity of
I'll look her up
the
then.
American left. Like, we truly do not have like a far left in the U.S. that would be willing to take up arms. It is so small. Furthermore, I do think that technology-wise, it's not it's not an even battle anymore. Like, the military, the U.S. military, which is largely conservative, and currently, Trump is in charge of them. The technology that they have to track, surveil, to remotely kill people would be absurd. I mean, I guess we could do some sort of guerrilla warfare, but this is American territory. It wouldn't go down like Vietnam, Like, we know where we are, we know where we're going.
This is a fantastic point, by the way, and this gets into what's known as the generations of warfare.
Okay.
So the earliest generation of warfare, obviously, is a guy punching a guy. As we got into the 1700s, well, maybe even before then, you get field battles and drums and trumpets, and they refer to this largely as like third generation. Fourth generation is what they refer to as insurgency, terror, guerrilla warfare tactics, which we saw famously people bring up during the American Revolution. Many people refer to the period we're now in as fifth generational warfare, and the question is, what is the purpose of conflict? And it's to typically, not always, but to gain control of resources or a political group. Usually, it's to gain control of something, and it could be for ideological reasons or economic reasons. What we're witnessing now, what I would say maybe we're not going to have what's called a hot civil war but remain cold, is the use of information technology for the purpose of controlling populations, like you've described. So in the broader picture, I would argue that what we are seeing now with TikTok and Instagram may actually stop kinetic conflict, which would be people shooting each other,
Yes.
and we may actually just end up with people being brainwashed and waving Israeli flags or something.
Well, I mean, we're already kind of there. I mean, like, Peter Thiel and Elon Musk are, the 2 most powerful tech dudes, and even Mark Zuckerberg and
Enemy Charlie on Twitch.
Jeff Bezos to some degree. They're in Trump's pocket, or maybe Trump is in theirs.
Someone said, good luck fighting all the drones with your muskets. Yeah, true. By the way, my TikTok visibility got restricted again, so GG's. Thank you for hanging out. I'll keep it up, though.
And there's just, online,
I
there
appealed
really
it.
isn't a way for the left to meaningfully take control, not in
I
a
did appeal it.
real sense. I think that, yes, the country will continue to get polarized, but will we have a civil war? No.
Pause here. Thank you. You've been voted out by the majority.
Oh, good. Thank you.
All right, if you'd like to be the next debater, please head to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Hello. When January 6th happened, I actually thought we were headed towards a civil war then. I thought,
Yeah, let me rewind really quick. Yeah, my TikTok live is restricted. Please drop a follow on TikTok, especially if I need to restart the stream again. I probably will just keep this one up, though, until we're done here. But appreciate you guys joining.
January 6th happened, I actually thought we were headed towards a civil war then. I thought, oh my God, this is really f***ing bad.
It's terrifying.
And so much so that what ended up happening is that gun sales increased predominantly on the left because they were so afraid of what was going to happen. And we had been seeing documentaries and news networks talking about the far right extremists who were already training with like AR-15s and things like that that were attempting to potentially start a coup. And so if we were talking back then, I would actually agree with you. The reason I disagree with you now is because we don't have a faction of the left that is nearly as violently motivated as the right is. So if we were to talk about a hypothetical civil war, then I would argue the far right would start it, specifically because of what you just said. You said that you would like to re-elect Trump, that you would vote for him for a
Vance.
third time. But you didn't say Vance, you said Trump, right?
Well, I corrected it.
And
You know what I mean.
I think that
Rubio, maybe.
goes down to the ideology of, again, your argument around the Constitution. There is a faction of MAGA that wants him to run again and
Agreed, yeah.
skirt the Constitution
Yep.
so that MAGA can stay in power. I think in a hypothetical, that would lead towards a civil war.
I agree.
Well, tell me, chat, who is more likely to want a civil war? The side that fantasizes about war, that dresses in paramilitary gear for fun, that obsesses over the Second Amendment as the main pillar for freedom, not the First Amendment, not like the rest of the Constitution, just the Second Amendment. The side that obsesses with violence and warfare constantly. Is that side going to want war? Or the side that focuses on foundational institutional liberalism, that focuses on equal rights and, free speech and protesting over violence, protesting over violence, the side that is apparently drinking soy lattes and ingesting estrogen every second of the day. I'm a soy boy. That side, which of those two sides is more geared towards wanting civil war, if you had to guess?
And so, okay, but people like yourself who continue to spew this type of rhetoric of, is it going to happen?
Yeah, tough choice, man. I don't know. Tough choice. Tough one. Tough one right there. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that one. That's a tough question. Tough one.
Is it going to happen? I think you want it to happen.
I think you're exaggerating the things that I've said about it. I think that last conversation was absolutely fantastic.
I think everything that you talked about is online, and people
so
can
I think,
just look it up.
I've interviewed national security experts to ask them if they think this is going to happen. When you have one gentleman saying, yes, and it's my fault, he doesn't have to like me.
Oh, here's how Tim Pool reacted to Renee Good getting killed.
If we're defending us, I'm like, no. Simply, first of all, when these people come out and go, Tim's a bootlicker for defending us, I'm like, no, you misunderstand. It's my boots. It's mine. I voted for them. I'm wearing the boot. I'm stomping on the ground. I ain't licking anybody. I'm clapping for these people that I said, please go out and enforce the law. And anybody else who's cheering for it, who voted for it too, we're all wearing the boots. You're the one crying. You're the one saying, you're coming simply.
Okay, say it with me. Non-homophobically. Gay.
You have to like my
what the
opinions on
hell,
what I
bro?
do.
Come on.
But I think when you also
It's my
say
boot.
that
It's my
when
boot.
MAGA wants to elect Trump for a third time, you are correct. They do. And I also agree this is going to create an untenable situation for the country that I don't believe progressives or Democrats will accept. I don't see Trump and his base backing down, and I don't see the left, liberals, Democrats, or otherwise agreeing to back down. It's a simple question. Would anyone in this room sit back as Trump seized a third term in power? I don't think they would do it.
Yeah.
So you can have a fascist take over a revolution, or you can have a civil war if this is the case. And I hope to God it's not. Because you know what I'd prefer? I prefer to watch the soccer match and have some chicken wings. I don't want to deal with conflict crisis. I don't like having to live in I have multiple bodyguards with me today. I have to have people standing outside my house because we got
Why are you scared of the progressives in here?
I'm not scared of anybody in here. Actually, I think you guys have been absolutely lovely. But there are lunatics. In December of last year, someone drove by my property and opened fire on our buildings. And
You're going to blame that on the left too?
It was a left-aligned individual who did it, but I mean, I'm not blaming you guys for doing it. And I certainly would acknowledge that there are people on the right who engage in violence all the same.
Remember when Trump called every single liberal a domestic terrorist every day? Remember when Trump did that every day, and Trump celebrated the death of Rob Reiner and Rob Mueller because they're critics of him, and when Trump called for the death penalty for like eight Democratic Congress people because they told the military not to obey illegal orders. Remember that shit, dude?
I'm saying
That was crazy.
I don't want you to
That
be
was
in
crazy.
Fear of your life.
That was crazy, dude.
I don't want to be in fear in my life.
Holy shit.
I prefer this. You guys have been absolutely awesome. We disagree. I mean, that guy really hates me, but I don't want him hurt or anything like that.
Yeah, the Democrats in Minnesota who were assassinated, and now the official Republican Party position is that the person who did it is a friend of Tim Walz. Melissa Hortman was killed by a friend of Tim Walz when in reality it was a crazy anti-vaxxer who worked at funeral homes so he could analyze bodies and try to trace them back for vaccine injury. Like evangelical preacher, who hates Democrats. Republicans somehow said Melissa Hortman got killed by a fellow liberal, is what they say.
I don't want to live in a
unhinged.
country where people are attacking each other without trying to understand each other.
Right, but the rhetoric that you're spewing is leading towards that. You want Trump again. Which means the rhetoric that you're spewing online,
Trump
the
won
political commentary that you're spewing online
I don't
is
want,
teasing it.
I don't want Donald Trump.
Like, will they, won't they, will they, won't they?
I don't want Donald Trump
Guys,
for a third term.
Go
but
and have a civil war.
I would prefer, J.D. Vance, maybe Rubio, but
that's still MAGA.
And indeed, and understand that Trump won the plurality of the vote in 2024, and he has a large support base, despite his polls being very low. He does, and we'll see what happens with the Republican Party in 26 and 28. But you can't just wish away the existence of another political faction with a polarized worldview compared to yours. I do not see a reality where Republicans accept the worldview of the progressives who are gaining ground in multiple places, namely in New York. And I don't see the progressives accepting the Trump worldview as you've described it.
And the reason that we're not going to accept it is because people like you.
And the reason we don't accept it is people like you.
We're going to pause here.
It's crazy what Tim Pool's doing in this conversation. Just like completely mask on, completely. Well, like complete 180 from his show.
If you'd like
It's
to be the next
crazy.
debater, please head to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Jeremiah. Okay, so we know that the USA is very resilient, right? We've weathered so much. So we've stayed intact, and we weathered 1968 riots, McCarthyism, what else? Civil rights era.
Civil War.
So, but the thing is, we've stayed intact, right? So my thing is that we can have polarizing views, right? But nothing that we're dealing with right now is as intense as anything that I've just mentioned, and none of those things led to a civil war. So unless the right plans to enslave the left, how are we going to have a civil war?
So one example that I often say, which I don't know, that you know, a lot of this is probabilistic. I like to use Colorado as an example.
Okay.
Colorado allows for abortion up to the point of birth, the woman's discretion, but Oklahoma bans it, and they share a border.
Okay.
So you have a potential for conflict in that regard, because if a woman is with a man and she's 7 or 8 months pregnant, and she decides to get an abortion in Colorado where it's legal, the state will try to stop her. We have already had an instance where, I'm not sure, it was a southern state, it might have been Mississippi or Alabama, where they charged, I believe they attempted to charge a woman with conspiracy to commit abortion by fleeing the state. And so the issue that arises is at the ground level when a man says, you are taking my child to be murdered, and the woman says, no, it's a fetus, I'm getting an abortion, and this results in people on the ground traveling between jurisdictions with different laws, which creates a problem for Colorado and a problem for Oklahoma, which probably don't want to fight.
So, but what I'm saying is that if you're saying the nation would fight, we don't even see internal fights within the states, like separate states. I would think that we would see that first before we would see the nation fight.
Well, we saw in Texas when the Biden administration deployed federal police, and the Texas National Guard came, and they were actually in dispute over the concertina wire on the border, because Texas doesn't have the constitutional authority to deport. They sent out their state National Guard in defiance
and we
of the
saw
federal
that
government.
overreach here in California when Trump did that overreaching.
Right, sending the
Newsom.
Marines
But guess
into,
what? But the thing is,
marijuana
military
fields.
hasn't defected.
The claim is that we are tracking towards one, and I think that's an academic claim.
Okay, so
but it's also possible we have a
What do you
revolution.
mean by tracking? Tracking like in 100 years? Like
No.
what-
Tracking
when?
means that what we have seen over the past 10 years historically runs parallel to other stories that have culminated in civil war, but don't always. So that's why academics say today's period in the United States is called civil strife.
Okay,
Okay, we're going to pause
civil rights
there.
era was civil strife as well.
We're going to pause here. I think you've been voted out the majority. If you'd like to be the next debater, please head to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome. Hi. Nice jacket.
Hi, thank you. When you say that the U.S. is heading towards a civil war, I fundamentally disagree with this claim because I think that for any country to go through civil war, 3 key things need to happen. The first is geographic fracture. The second is the military defecting. And the third is institutional collapse, none of which we see in the United States.
Well, let's address the claim number one. We actually have seen massive internal migration from blue states to red states and red states to blue states. So the geographic hyperpolarization absolutely is happening.
I didn't say polarization. I said geographic fracture. There are plenty of blue
elaborate.
cities in red states.
Right.
So where's the fracture? Has
What
anybody
do you
has
mean by
any
fracture?
state tried to secede?
There have been instances of states trying to secede from themselves. Yeah.
Not really. No.
You have
Which states have tried to secede?
Northern California is trying to secede. You've got Eastern Oregon trying to secede.
No.
You've got a district in Northern Colorado
What I
trying
mean
to
secede is not are people wanting it to happen? Is there a little bit of a movement going on? Is there mass voting for a
Yes.
state to secede? No, there's not.
The state of Jefferson, are you familiar?
No, there's
and
not.
Greater Idaho.
Did it happen?
It
doesn't happen.
I believe we had
It
two
doesn't-
counties.
what you're
Hold
saying-
on. If you don't know this, don't just say you don't. Eastern Oregon had 2 counties voting to secede from the state to join Idaho.
Did it happen?
It did not.
It does not happen. No, because
but whether it did or
we're
didn't happen is
extremely
the
polarized in this
argument.
country.
Are people trying to make it happen?
We're extremely polarized in this country.
Western Maryland
but
tried
there's
to
no
secede.
geographic fracture.
Western Maryland voted to join West Virginia.
People tried. It doesn't happen.
I understand. I think a lot of people look at American history and then believe all civil wars happen in this context. But in fact, the United States is unique in this regard, in that we were positioned for civil war because you had state jurisdictions with great authority that were in defiance of the federal government.
You use this rhetoric a lot, and it's very, very dangerous to use this rhetoric because it gets people up in arms and gets people rallied up. This kind of rhetoric is the same kind of rhetoric that Donald Trump uses to rally up right-wing conservatives. This is so dangerous that there are only 2 possibilities for why somebody would say this. Either they're blatantly exaggerating and grifting for money, or they genuinely believe what they say and they don't know and they don't give their audience the 20 seconds of respect on Google it would take to learn otherwise. The U.S. is not heading toward a civil war.
There's clearly more than...
I was literally just thinking this point. This is my favorite person about this topic so far, I think.
Not what's happening.
There's clearly more than 2 reasons why
No,
someone would say these
no,
things.
there's not. Like I said,
and that's being intentionally derisive and not
it's not.
informing
It's,
anybody.
it's the truth because
If
we're
you
not
have-
heading
if
towards
you-
the civil
Yeah, that was really good. Dissecting the only reason you would even argue this is number one, you're either a grifter or you're stupid, or you just do want a civil war, which I don't think you really want a civil war. So the only option is Tim Pool's either a grifter or stupid. I love that breaking down. It's like a psychological attack almost. I really like that. That was really good.
You have
Okay, we're going to pause it here. We're out of time.
All right.
Thank you, though, so
well, it was good
much.
talking to you.
Nice to meet you.
My final surrounded claim is that the Constitution effectively does not exist anymore.
If you'd like to be the first debater, please head to the chair in 3.
Rewind it. Wait, you want to see what he said again?
More than 2 reasons.
It's the truth because
If
we're
you
not
have-
heading
if
towards the
you-
civil. It's not. I mean, like I said,
and that's being intentionally derisive and not.
the U.S. is not heading blatantly exact gets people up in arms and gets people rallied up. This
because you had state jurisdictions
See this right? What he says right here. Listen to it. It's a really good way to break it down.
with great authority that were in defiance of the federal government.
you use this rhetoric a lot, and it's very, very dangerous to use this rhetoric because it gets people up in arms and gets people rallied up. This kind of rhetoric is the same kind of rhetoric that Donald Trump uses to rally up right-wing conservatives. This is so dangerous that there are only 2 possibilities for why somebody would say this. Either they're blatantly exaggerating and grifting for money, or they genuinely believe what they say and they don't know, and they don't give their audience the 20 seconds of respect on Google it would take to learn otherwise.
Yeah, you're either stupid or you're a bad person because it is dangerous rhetoric. Why would you talk about civil war every day unless if you want to make us fight each other? Like obviously,
It does not
Yeah.
exist anymore.
Good.
If you'd like to be the first debater, please head to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Going well, going well.
So, what is the purpose of the claim?
So the first question is, what is a constitution? A constitution, it actually refers to what constitutes a body politic. As of right now, I would make the argument that first, what is known to most people, the interpretation of the Constitution dramatically has changed over the past several hundred years, not just with amendments, but with the language itself, though. Many people might argue they're originalists, some might say they're textualists. It doesn't even matter if they claim those things because their view of the Constitution has changed. As of today, there's actually 2 distinct large body politics, if that's the way you say it, and they do not agree on the interpretation of the Constitution. Thus, we are seeing claims the Supreme Court is no longer legitimate. We've seen that for some time now. We see Republicans angry with Amy Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh over their rulings, and we are now hearing arguments that politicians should just ignore the Constitution outright, or the Supreme Court, I'm sorry, in this capacity, even though this would violate the Constitution.
But that wouldn't necessarily work because if the founding fathers were creating the document, they knew that this was going to continuously progress because they believed in the modernization of the United States that was going to continuously go forward. That's why you had Lincoln making the Reconstruction era amendments and even the Progressive era amendments, like the 16th Amendment with the income tax, the 17th Amendment.
We're not arguing amendments.
But what I'm saying is that the Constitution has always been able to progress and change. If you're looking for the issues when it comes to the Supreme Court and what everybody else believes, that happens on the left and on the right. Everyone has its
Yeah, I was gonna say the way this guy's dressed and his hair, like it reminds you that most of the people here are from California. Very, very California coded.
disagreements when it comes to the Supreme Court. But the problem is when you look at the Trump administration, what they're currently doing right now
In my opinion, not that I know, not that I know.
now is making executive orders saying that they're going to ask questions about the 14th Amendment, when the reality is that he wanted to change the first section of the 14th Amendment to his own.
Is anyone
personal
stopping
things. The Supreme Court did, actually. Not only did the Supreme Court stop them, initially, that's what he was promised, he was hoping did not have happen. That's why he was sitting in April with the Supreme Court, trying to be basically the muscle of the executive and the judicial.
So Trump hasn't stopped. In fact, they're preparing another executive order under the same line that was just rejected, but targeting territories.
But then you would agree with that the fault then would be coming from the political right then in this case, because when
But it's
it
not a
comes
question of fault. It's a question of we are not seeing. But my point largely is there is a left and there's a right in this country that are so distinct. Neither views the Constitution as being upheld.
But that's not necessarily true. When you look
But
at
it is true.
Well, I'll explain to you as the reason as to why it's not
You think
true.
Trump's upholding the Constitution?
I don't think he's upholding the Constitution, but I know for a fact that the left has been, or the Democrats have been actually holding up the Constitution a lot more. If you look at, for example, for example, with Bush,
do you think Republicans believe the Democrats are upholding the Constitution?
Do I think that the Republicans are holding it?
Do Republicans in this country believe Democrats are holding true to the Constitution?
Of course they don't, but that's because
that's the point.
But wait,
there is no
but that's,
unified body
but that's,
politic that
but that
operates
is
under the US
opinion based.
Constitution.
That's specifically opinion based. When
And
you
that-
look
yes,
at
correct.
well, hold on. When you look at different members, different presidential terms. You look at Trump, he's trying to take it down with the 14th Amendment through executive orders. The AUMF under Bush, he took away the ability for the Congress to actually declare war with that simple document because of September 11th. I haven't seen Obama do that. I haven't seen Biden try and do that whatsoever, especially when it comes to the past 20 years. The reason as to why we're in those situations is because of these two presidents. Now, what my argument is that while they may say, individuals may say this, what we're seeing is actual executive powers, actual legislative
but
powers,
this is not the argument.
actual judicial powers on the
Do you
right that are
believe-
specifically doing this.
Let me
That's
ask
the
you a question.
problem.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Good talking with you.
Good talking with you.
If you'd like to be the next debater, please get to the chair in 3.
I have interesting data from YouTube, guys, from YouTube chat. Shout out to YouTube chat. If you're on TikTok right now, definitely recommend hopping over to YouTube Shorts if you're interested. 2,700, okay? 2,700 votes, all right? 2,700 votes. What is Tim Pool's ideology? Okay, that's what I asked them. Out of 2,700 votes, 9% said Tim Pool's a left-winger, 43% said Tim Pool's a right-winger, and 48% said Tim Pool's a moderate. So, again, in my YouTube chat, 2,700 votes, 2,700. 9% believes Tim Pool's left wing, 43% believes he's right wing, 48% believes Tim Pool is a moderate. Interesting.
3, 2, 1.
How's it going? Nice to meet you.
An issue I kind of take with your interpretation of the Constitution is that you're kind of like taking this originalist approach to the Constitution and that every single word in the Constitution should be taken as literal.
No, I'm not.
So what do you mean essentially by it? Like,
so the founding fathers, it was the split between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. There was an argument as to whether we should have an unwritten Constitution or a written Constitution. There was a fear that with an unwritten Constitution, it would evolve too dramatically and you'd end up with tyranny. So one faction says, hey guys, write it down. In fact, they wanted not just a Constitution, they wanted a Bill of Rights. So the argument is, fundamentally, a constitution is what constitutes the body politic. When you have a group of people that are largely morally aligned, they all basically agree, then you have a constitution. We are seeing an increase in geographic polarization. This is resulting in the Congress becoming equally polarized with radically different views of what the Constitution actually means.
so our Congress is very, very, very centered, right? Our Congress is very much in the political center. So to say that they're these radical figures, I think it's strikingly ironic. And
Well,
I
no,
think
they're polarized, right? They vote on party line almost all the time, even when it doesn't make sense. And if you don't, Trump gets you removed from office like Massey. So that's polarization, right? So they're going to vote for the agenda of the right or the agenda of the left. And I think that the easiest way to explain it is the amendments are the easiest way to approach this in understanding the Constitution being largely, in my view, non-existent is the suppression of speech that we saw from Democratic Party administration officials. So that violates the First Amendment.
You have to admit, though, like the First Amendment doesn't mean that you can say whatever you want. Like
it certainly means you can express political opinions,
but it has
which they targeted.
it has continually, like our judges in our Supreme Court has continually ruled that there are limitations on free speech.
I agree.
I can't scream that there's a fire in a movie.
Yes,
theater,
you can. Brandenburg v. Ohio, you're wrong.
Like there needs to be a
Supreme
threat of
Court
imminent
precedent
danger.
already said you can't scream fire in a country.
There has to be a threat of
here.
imminent danger.
Thank you.
That's not.
You've
Yes,
been voted
that's
up by
true.
the majority.
Nice meeting you.
If you'd like to be the next debater, please head to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back. Shake your hand again.
All right. You're telling me that the Constitution effectively doesn't exist, right?
Yes.
Not that it's necessarily like low quality, but that it like effectively just does not exist at all.
Well, let's not be super extreme. What I mean is, there's obviously a document. We know what it is. We use it for certain guiding principles as to the power that our parties want.
My specific argument here is that the Constitution, whether or not it's being handled in like exactly the right way, it does exist. It's an important matter. Then great. The thing is, I don't know what your personal views is. My job here is just to dispute your claim. The claim is that it effectively does not exist. My argument is, insofar as we're all talking about the Constitution, we have a court, flawed or
is
not,
the Fourth Amendment
but a
being
court
upheld?
that reviews the Constitution.
Question: Is the Fourth Amendment being upheld?
I'm not a constitutional scholar. I don't know, but there's active debate about it.
The
That's
answer is that it's not, and we've had a serious issue with flock cameras, for instance. One video I just watched where a guy got pulled over wrongly and arrested because a flock camera flagged his car down. Now, when the police show up at your house and accuse you of a crime with fake evidence and you get arrested, that is a violation of your rights. Now, certainly we can argue that because of the Fourth Amendment, you can go and dispute it in court, but you could dispute it in court with or without the Fourth
I'm
Amendment.
absolutely against those like flock cameras, but again, that's not the point of this topic. When we're talking about does the Constitution exist, insofar as there's still a court review system.
Let's not argue semantics. Sometimes there's not. A good example is the case of Andrew Arnheimer, where he was arrested in Georgia and brought to New Jersey in violation of his constitutional rights and put in prison because of this, which ultimately resulted in him getting out. So I understand there is a Constitution. I know there's a physical piece of paper, and I know that it does work. But I'm saying effectively, because what I'm saying is it has become so disputed and so ignored in most capacities that we may as people are not abiding by it. The Democrats don't believe Republicans are. Republicans don't believe Democrats are. That's my point. That it is an
We're gonna
ineffective.
pause here. Thank you. You've been voted out by the majority. Head to
Well,
the
good talking to
chair.
you again.
All right, if you'd like to be the next debater, please head to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
How's it going? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Luke. What is the point of telling a bunch of different progressives that a bunch of things that we all agree with?
I don't know. You tell me.
What is the point of that?
you're sitting within this pocket of safe moderation, right?
Yep.
You are a former Bernie bro, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah, I agree with you. I was there when the bird landed on the podium in Portland. I was fucking
That was
there,
amazing,
man.
huh?
I completely agree. And we both probably got disenfranchised by our party, right?
I didn't vote for anybody in 2016.
Sure, hell yeah, you did your part then. Right? So my question is, what is the point of arguing this with a bunch of people who agree with you? Shouldn't you be surrounded by a bunch of people that you so-called condemn?
I guess it's a production question. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't know what you to say. I have claims. And if we agree, I guess we can all smile and shake hands.
But like, this is a direct question to you. Like,
I was muted. I said good question. I would actually want to watch that more. Tim Pool talking to 20 right-wingers.
why sit in this pocket of moderation if you so clearly condemn everything that's going on the right? A group that is so clearly eroding the Constitution. Why are you sitting here arguing with people that agree with you?
Is your argument that I should be a progressive or a liberal because I don't like what's happening to the Constitution?
No, I think you should be a little bit louder about the things that you actually believe instead of this like safe beanie-wearing moderate.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, I condemn everything that the right has done.
I didn't say I condemn everything the right has done. Okay. Let's put it like this. When I look at the option in 2020 between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, I was actually supporting Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang. And the Democratic Party does what the Democratic Party does. So I said, okay, well, who's the guy who's going to have my back more than them? These people I view as authoritarian, bad for a bunch of different reasons. And Trump's first term, it was a nightmare what they were doing. And Donald Trump put out his second term agenda, and I said, you know what, there's a bunch of these things I agree with, and the Democratic Party I find to be, it is untenable what they have done.
Tim, like, you are a smart guy. I'm not going to sit here and call you dumb and shake my head at you. You're a smart guy. How were you so easily conned?
In what way?
Saying that, like, well, no, he's
Trump's an anti-war president, but he's going to launch us into the biggest war in the last like 50 years, like that kind of thing.
going to do what
Maybe.
he says he's going to do.
What do you mean? Like, give me specifics.
Okay.
Like, I appreciate the line of thought, but you got to be specific.
Give me a specific about something that you voted for Donald Trump to do.
Tariffs.
How did that work out?
Fantastic for me.
Yeah, we're all rich, right?
Thank you so much for a $20 super chat. Though I disagree with you mostly, I appreciate your obvious passion to keep these conversations going so far. So I thank you and God bless. I appreciate that. And if you agree with Higgins, thank you for $20. I will be taking phone calls in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you disagree, write down your disagreement and call in about it. Okay, we could discuss it live. I have a phone number. You can call then. All right. This will be the phone number. This will be the phone number. You can call it once we're done talking about Tim Pool. All right. But thank you for the donation. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking the stream. Make sure you follow on every platform that you're watching from.
We're all cruising. That's working out for us.
Well, I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding among people who don't do manufacturing or run businesses on the issue of tariffs. So for me, the issue of trade control was extremely important, and we don't see it from the Democratic Party, so I voted for that. Trump did it, and I fully acknowledge that there's negative repercussions, but it's called spending money to fix problems down the road.
Why are you willing to erode the Constitution, something that you so vehemently fought for?
No, I think Democrats erode the Constitution substantially more.
How?
So, we can talk about the First Amendment. We can talk about the Biden administration going in and get people banned. That's the easiest one.
Right, yeah.
We can talk about the Fourth Amendment.
I remember that nasty Democrat, Brandon Carr, who took down Jimmy Kimmel, the stand-up comedian that I also am.
What did Carr say?
He made a call directly to NBC. Why should unilateral government power be used like that? And why are you just saying, I condemn that, but you're actively doing nothing to fight it?
No. I think the issue largely is regulatory bodies exist. I agree with the existence of regulatory bodies. Sometimes they do things you don't like. You didn't like it here, but I'm sure you like regulatory bodies elsewhere. So I'm not going to come out and pretend to be angry about something that is complicated or litigation we don't understand because it's tribal points for me. I'm going to say, what did Brendan Carr actually say? What did he actually say when he called NBC?
You need to take Jimmy Kimmel down.
He did not say that.
Then what did he say?
I don't know, and that's why I don't have a strong opinion about the issue right now.
Right. So
you can't tell me.
He said some mafia mobster shit like, yeah, you better watch out what you're saying, Jimmy Kimmel, because if not, there might be consequences. We might have to look into that. There might be consequences. Some freaking mobster mafia shit, bro.
What he said, you can't pretend to be angry.
We're going to pause here. Thank you so much. You've been voted out by the majority.
Boisterous.
I appreciate it. Nice meeting you.
If you'd like to be the next debater, please head to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back.
So the whole point of it being like, oh, it's the left, it's the right. I'm a constitutional abolitionist. I want it gone. Who's the Constitution written for?
Constitutional abolitionist, bro. Is this guy a DSA member? What is it? What is he?
It's written for the original American colonists who started this country.
Wait, what?
Were
largely white Protestants.
So it was written for white men that own land, right?
Mostly, yes.
Yeah, perfect. And after that, everyone else has been given rights, right?
They've not been given rights. I would argue that over a long enough period of time, there's been advocacy to make the Constitution protect against a government infringement. The Constitution doesn't give
the
you
rights that protect the white men that own land. Everyone else.
I don't think we're disagreeing. I'm just.
Right.
I'm saying the Constitution doesn't give us the rights. It stops the government from doing things.
Yeah, sure. It gives you the protection from blah blah blah. Fine.
Yeah, and it was like overwhelmingly white European male
so the point that
landowners.
I'm making is we've seen throughout the history of our country that other people have been attacked, right? Every other marginalized group has been attacked. There's been amendments, there's been back and forth, whether people do or do not have access to rights. The whole point that I'm getting to is the United States Constitution needs to be thrown out completely. Thomas Jefferson agrees with me.
Well,
Thomas Jefferson said that the Constitution should be rewritten every 19 years. Now, around that time, they were dying early, so I'm thinking it was like 50 years or whatever. But he made the point that if we actually have legislation, laws, or a Constitution that governs people in the future based off of what we've written, then we're doing an injustice. So saying that we should uphold something that was written 250 years ago when I was 3/5 of a person, like, what are we doing?
Oh, back then it was worse than that.
No.
Compromising.
Have you read the 1619 Project?
No.
Okay, cool. The reason the Constitution and the way the United States government is set up, it's literally because the founding fathers were slave owners. They were racist slave owners that wanted to uphold that power, and they wanted to give the power to the states. Well,
there's a lot of context missing from that. You're familiar with the...
See, that's true. Like the U.S. Senate is 100%, and it functions like that today. A bunch of tiny white states in the U.S. Senate control as many senators. Or wait, what is it again? California has 2 senators, and the smallest 21 states have the same population as California, but they have 42 senators. So 42 senators for the same number of people as California's 2 senators, which is crazy.
The issue of the Declaration of Independence in South Carolina and Georgia. Thomas Jefferson was angry with the king for bringing slaves to the colonies. I'm not saying he wasn't a racist.
No, he wasn't.
He wanted to include a provision
where... One of the biggest reasons for the Revolutionary War is because Britain no longer wanted to uphold chattel slavery.
Well, I mean,
and
A socialist, his name is Santana. Okay.
Colonies wanted to because they had been so successful as far as making money. The colonies, period.
The Southern colonies did.
The colonies, period.
I mean,
Now, after the Civil War, then they shifted away where you saw kind of a split where the northern colonies didn't want it as much as the southern colonies.
Well, that was before the Civil War.
That's besides the point.
This is around 1820, in fact.
No, I'm saying after
around 18...
Not after the Civil War. I'm sorry, after the Revolutionary War.
Right. So yes, very shortly after the Revolutionary War, Thomas Jefferson had written a statement for the Declaration that stated, "The king has brought people to this land to wage war against us." Something to that effect. And South Carolina and Georgia contested to its inclusion in the Declaration because they wanted slavery so bad. But don't get me wrong, all of the colonists did. We agree on
One of the biggest drivers was the fact that there was a slave that was in the colonies, and his slave owner took him to Britain, and Britain actually had a rule that no one could be slaves, and so he was able to win his freedom for being in Britain, and that shook the foundation of the colonies, which forced them to actually push forward the Revolutionary War and then come with the United States Constitution. The point that I'm trying to make is the United States Constitution needs to be abolished because it does not protect all the people. We need to completely rewrite the United States Constitution and give protections to everyone. Everyone needs to have equal rights under the protection of the law. We can go back and forth about everything else.
Do you think that... you're allowed to have the opinion you like the Constitution, all that stuff. I'm not going to argue. How do you think this country would react if you were successful in abolishing the Constitution?
Yeah, I think that it would be a violent revolution.
Pause here. We're
Okay.
out of time.
I appreciate it.
All right, Tim.
You have to watch out for like socialists and everything and DSA members because what they say, like right there, he's like, yeah, if I got this, it would be a violent revolution. A lot of it is like in an academic context. It's academic. It's a thought process. It's a ideology. It's a way to think about things. It's a frame. It's a reference, because the actual pragmatic steps to make the world better is probably not going to be what they decide is best in an academic setting. Because you can say like, oh, it'd be better to have a different constitution, but it's like, that's not possible, obviously. But yeah, it's not meant to be a real prescription for how to engage in politics today, obviously.
It's time for the final debate. You'll have 10 minutes uninterrupted. Now look around the room and choose who you would like to continue the dialogue with.
I think I'll go with... I like this guy.
Why did you choose Luke?
He had asked me questions about why I believed what I believed or why I would vote the way that I did, and I thought he was genuine. I thought we could have a good conversation, so I'm interested in hearing also what he thinks and what he believes, and where maybe we'll disagree and agree.
My surrounded claim is that in 2026, all moderates are cowards.
All right, well, no.
Sure, yeah.
And I certainly don't think I am. I think that one of the biggest problems that we have in this country is media polarization.
Totally.
There are family members of mine that only watch MS Now, and there are family members of mine that only watch Fox News, and I watch both. And so then I see, you know, when I turn on MS Now, the only thing they're talking about is going to be in one direction. I turn on Fox News, the only thing they're talking about is the other direction. And this makes people really on edge and then say, I need to be on one side. It crafts a moral worldview. While I certainly understand your point, actually, let me do this. Are you saying take a side, stand up for something?
More or less. I'm saying that over the last, we'll say, 26 years, right, we have been, well, barring 2016. So from 2000 to 2016, we were kind of controlled by a centrist government. And I feel like that, even though Barack Obama was a progressive for his time, we view him now as pretty centrist, right?
Yeah.
We're in a room full of progressives.
I would agree, just even back then as well.
Right. That opened the door for...
Well, Obama being a black man made him a radical to people. No one really cared about the ideology on the conservative side.
And back then as well.
Right. That opened the door for someone like Donald Trump to come in and actively erode our Constitution and the very foundation that our country is supposed to be.
Well, is your argument that everyone should be against Donald Trump then?
No.
So then what's your gripe with moderates?
Centrism and moderation in 2026, in the age of AIPAC money, in the age of Larry Ellison, Barry Weiss, all of these talking heads, all of these political entities, Peter Thiel, Mark Zuckerberg, all these, this technocracy that we are not far from, right? Why do you get to sit in the middle and argue both sides while raking in dollars from these exact entities?
Well, what's your proposal? I guess I'm trying to understand. My view of what it means to be moderate is that sometimes the right is correct and sometimes the left is correct.
Sure.
And I think my view is, I come from, interestingly, the area of Chicago where I grew up has turned red. It's firefighters, it's cops, it's working class Joes.
Why is that?
That it turned red?
Yeah.
I think for a lot of these people, they feel that the Democratic establishment has abandoned them on a few issues.
Mm-hmm.
The mass migration that we saw, or the large migration, call it whatever you want.
Wasn't there a huge, like you're saying, wasn't there a huge migration of blue to red and red to blue, right? You made that claim.
You mean like
earlier.
California to Texas?
Sure.
And New York
Inner
to
city
Florida?
Chicago to outer city Chicago, suburbs, things like that.
Yeah, the people in my neighborhood didn't really move. They don't have the money to do so.
Sure.
So there is a large migration. Doesn't mean every neighborhood migrated, but particularly for where I grew up, it's interesting that the politics of the neighborhood kind of tracked alongside myself. Like in 2016, I was for Bernie. The area where I grew up, it was like largely blue. I didn't vote for anybody. In 2020, I said, I guess I'm going to vote for Trump. There's the things I don't like about him, but here's what I agree with and why I don't like.
Why
Joe
did
Biden.
you vote for him?
Well, unfortunately, I think one of the big issues with Afghanistan, and I'm not going to say Trump's done well with Iran, particularly, you know what I mean? But there was an issue of, for one, I was for Tulsi Gabbard. I donated the maximum to Tulsi and to Andrew Yang.
How's Tulsi doing?
Moderately well. I mean, she's not particularly in the political limelight as of right now, but I do believe she's going to try and run a spoiler candidacy against Democrats.
Sure.
But
How's Andrew Yang doing?
Andrew Yang not doing so well. I mean, he's got the Forward Party, but...
Why do you think that?
Why do I think what?
Why do you think that Andrew Yang is not succeeding in today's day?
Because I believe the Democratic machine, like they did to Bernie, ices out anybody who wants to actually win on a populist grassroots level. And I don't know how to vote for someone like Joe Biden, who I think is evil, and I think him and the administration...
You mean Joe Biden, who ended wars in the Middle East? Joe Biden, who invested the most amount of money in American infrastructure of any president in like 50 years? The Joe Biden who put tariffs and protectionist policies on our particular industries with the Chips and Science Act? Like that Joe Biden that did all the policies you claimed you cared about? You think you can't vote for him, but you can vote for Trump, who's selling out our country to every possible direction and starting Middle Eastern wars? Like... the thing you can't, like the whole thing Tim Pool claimed to care about. Okay,
Hillary
whatever.
Clinton have done such horrible things that I said we need, like Andrew Yang was my principal guy. A big fan of Tulsi as well, largely because she had military
Tulsi, big fan of Tulsi.
service and was an
Thank you for the Uncle alert. Thank you for the gift.
opposition to these foreign wars. And when we didn't
Samantha
get it for the second
Rogers,
time,
thank you.
I said, I guess I'm voting for Donald Trump for a few reasons. He was the only one talking about why we need trade controls. And I agree with these trade controls, but I fully recognize that they do cause short-term economic damage. And that's bad for a lot of people. I can recognize that.
Why are we in the position, or why as a country, did we end up in that issue with trade? Why did that happen?
There's a lot of arguments for it. If you go back to the 90s, you can look at these general free trade agreements. The belief from a lot of individuals is that when there's trade agreements between countries, you prevent war.
Who passed those?
These laws?
Yeah.
They go back to both parties since 1950.
Sure.
So
But in the 50s, who passed them? Like, where did they align politically?
Both parties. We call it the Uniparty.
I would say they'd probably be pretty close to the center, right? One would call them a moderate.
We call them the Uniparty.
Okay.
I don't think moderate's the right way to describe a cabal of elites who lie about their views to attract the most voters possible and steal power from the working class.
Sure.
Like moderate just means
So
that,
if you believe that, what are your views? In 1950, where are you voting? Where are you casting your vote?
Oh, I'm not voting for any of these people.
Well, so
to be fair, I think we're the products of the 1950s. We have all strange, very strange political views. But I would say right now, are you familiar with the liberal economic order?
Yes.
I think it was insane. And then the policies that we got from it leading up to before Trump came in was the continuance of this policy by which the United States imposes economic sanctions and military we'll just call it their military because it could be occupation or bombings on other countries unless they enter into debt with an international banking system. And they thought, you know what, this will prevent World War III. And did it? No.
So
It entered into foreign sovereign nations and took away the rights of the people to vote as they wish.
How is that different, like the central bank entity, right? How is that different than most of the individuals on the right taking money from APEC?
That's not a good thing. I don't agree with that. Those are bad things.
Then why do you actively support that? Why do you actively support a president who's made billions of dollars since he's taken office? Why do you support that as somebody who loved Bernie?
The simple answer is the things that I align with, clearly you don't align with, and that puts me in a Trump position as opposed to a Democrat position.
Sure.
You have a lot of politicians on the Democrat side who got behind authoritarian practices during COVID. I'm not going to support those individuals.
So, but the authoritarian practices today, you're willing to look past.
Some of them, yes.
Come on, man. Come on.
Bro, every governor, Republican, Democrat, like Trump was president as well during the COVID lockdowns. Trump pushed the vaccine. Trump did all this stuff. Ron DeSantis had lockdowns. Like, they all did it. They all.
Do you want me to lie to you and equivocate and pretend that I think politicians are all
I don't
good
want you to
people?
lie to me, and I'm so thankful that you're being honest. And I'm glad these cameras can see that, and I hope
Absolutely.
your fan base can.
And I say this every single night on my show. It is silly that you get people who come on here and try to defend the indefensible. Like, sometimes you're a conservative and you're wrong. Sometimes you're a Democrat and you're wrong.
Sure.
It's silly to come here and be like, no matter what the argument is, I have to tribalistically defend something that's stupid. But here's the issue. There are things that Democrats have done that terrify me and I cannot support. Now, that being said,
is there good that they've done?
There's a possibility. The one thing I like to shout out for Joe Biden is banking and ATM issues. I know it seems a little light, but I can't believe that the right attacked Joe Biden on the issue of trying to get rid of ATM fees. I know it might sound so light, but you got to start from the bottom.
It sounds like
what's
a
good.
very safe Republican moderate belief. And
Certainly.
and dude, you are entitled to have those beliefs.
Yeah.
And like, we live in this country. We are allowed to disagree. This Constitution that you allege is fully eroded, we still have the ability to do this, and that fucking rules. But I will say, we've all seen what's been going on in our country this summer. We've been holding the World Cup here. We've been seeing people come here and see this country for what it truly is, and they fucking love it.
They love it.
Right?
It's great.
What do they love about it?
Well, I love when they went to Chicago and got the deep dish pizza.
Right.
I love the people who said
Where'd
that
that
they
deep dish
were-
pizza come from?
Giordano's?
Yeah. Okay, that last name, that doesn't sound like an American last name. Where'd that pizza come from?
It came from America.
Immigrants.
It didn't.
No, it
Chicago,
didn't.
Chicago-style deep
right.
dish came from Chicago.
But it's
Well, let's say the descendants of immigrants, if you want to get technical.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is these
Because
things.
American-style pizza was uniquely American and distinct from Italian-style pizza.
Totally.
Do you know where
completely
chicken
agree.
tikka masala
but
comes
it's
from?
still pizza.
Do you know where chicken tikka masala
It is a
comes
British inclination.
It's
I get
Scotland.
it. Like, I fully
Yeah.
get it, man.
We agree. It's amazing.
You are talking to a 365-pound man with a knife tattoo.
No,
You
but
think
we
I don't
agree.
know where tikka masala is from, dog?
We love it. We agree.
I mean, I don't love that it's their national dish.
Bro,
I think,
I'm part Korean. I had family who fled war and came to America and were welcomed in the beautiful bosom of this nation to live an amazing life.
then
and
why are
have
you
much
voting for an entity that wants to erase that?
They don't want to erase it. I think you have a misconception. I think it comes down to, I look at a Biden administration that brings in there's wide estimates from 4 to even upwards of 20 million, right? And if you pick what number you think.
It's like 5 million. It's not 20 or 40 million like Trump says. It's like 5 million at the highest. By the way, I'll take phone calls, guys. I'll take phone calls. Stick around. Drop a like. Drop a like. If you're in TikTok, I recommend going to YouTube Shorts if you want to stay around for the call-in period. YouTube will not be up, or TikTok will not be up. YouTube is gonna keep on going. The ideological makeup of my TikTok is different from YouTube. YouTube, the ideologies in chat, out of 1,000 votes, is 20% left-wing, 40% right-wing, and 40% centrist. So we got some ideological diversity It's gonna be. I mean, I assume we're gonna get some callers. I don't know. Sometimes we get no calls. Sometimes we get a bunch of calls. I guess
Right or
we'll
what's
see.
wrong. It doesn't matter. We saw mass migration into this country on a large scale, and I think that is bad for the economy. I think it's bad for the younger generation, and I see ideologies pushed by Democratic Party politicians and activists that I think are detrimental to the future of the younger generation of this country, namely my child.
So we keep talking about this Civil War issue, these secessions and everything. The big issue that's going on geopolitically is we've got a massive fucking target on our back. Wouldn't you want more people to be in this country to fight against that? Wouldn't you want more
What's
hands?
the target? Like, I mean, like, who's the threat?
We are. Israel, through us, is a threat. So we have.
But you're saying like there's going to be retaliation in the United States from
Absolutely.
their targets?
They are hanging banners calling for the assassination of our sitting president.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that. I don't want that to happen. If that were to happen, I do not like the outcome that's going to.
I don't see how bringing in more people from around the world, which whether right or wrong, changes that.
Isn't a larger country stronger? Isn't China vastly more advanced than we are?
Not necessarily, no.
Yes,
like,
they are.
Is India? Like they have high levels of poverty in certain areas. I think
they exist within a caste system. We're comparing different things.
I think the United States likes to put on these airs, particularly Republicans, about how everything's perfect and great when it's not. You've got slums. Japan does this. China does this. Yeah. It's hard to gauge which country is going to be the pinnacle of success of their ground populations.
I don't want us to be the pinnacle. I want us to be the country that we should be.
Which is?
A country that continues to change and grow and develop and welcome people in.
I'm going to pause here. We are out of time. So I want to thank you both. I want to thank all the debaters.
It was great, man.
All right. Our viewership is gonna crash, by the way, on YouTube. It's at like 1,600 right now. I guess it's gonna go to. It might go down to 200 or 300 or 100. Who knows how much it'll crash? But appreciate you guys hanging out, watching. Fake moderates. You can play every side without taking any position ever. And you can act like you can play dumb, like, oh, I don't know who's better. Both parties are bad. I don't know where I am. I don't know who I am. I'm just a dumbass. It's just like, it is a very weak position. But yeah, there it is. All right, let's see what we got. If we get any callers, or join Discord too. If you go to my YouTube, if you go in the video description, go in the YouTube video description. In the description, you can find my Discord link. Join Discord. You can call in through Discord as well. I got no calls yet. My phone line is now open. You can see the number on the screen. Up there. Up there, you can see the number. If you'd like, I'm restarting my TikTok stream because we're taking call-ins now. We're not doing Temple anymore. So I'll actually keep TikTok up, guys. I'm going to refresh it, though. But you guys can go do whatever you want. I appreciate the follows. Join us another time, but we're going to get some calls now. I'm restarting TikTok, just so you know. That means we're getting a call. Woohoo.
Call from.
Hello.
Yes.
How is it going?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Were you watching that Tim Pool video?
I don't know. It's Tim Pool. I think it's the Lower Politics.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. You're watching Jola Politics reacting to a Tim Pool video. So yeah, this is Jola.
Right.
So you can ask me whatever political question you want to ask, or we could talk about something, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't strongly believe in one way or another. I feel like I'm pretty centrist. I've got some views that both sides would find enraging.
Okay.
But the reason why I called is because the host's position was that the centrist position was a weak one, and my thought is that it's a stronger one because I have to constantly be fighting off both sides.
So I would say to something like that. So people say things like, for example, politics and politicians are all corrupt. And then I will say something like, and they might say I'm above both parties, I'm sort of above the fray. I'm against corruption on both sides. But then you see like a Joe Biden, which you don't need to be a huge Joe Biden fan even. But this is a guy who's been in public life for like 50 years or whatever. He's never been in office trading any stock whatsoever. Then you have Trump coming into office, doing tens of thousands of stock trades, having cryptocurrencies. Trump has made more money in his time as president so far in 2 years than he did his entire life combined. And he's done it being extremely corrupt. He's selling, like Trump is selling a subscription for $100,000 on Truth Social, where rich people can pay that subscription and get insider trading advice from the president directly. It's the most blatant form of corruption in American history by far. So like, if you're going to be a moderate and say, oh, both sides are corrupt, that is like saying, you know, I don't know, vandalism is the same as a serial killer at that point, and not taking a position on which one is worse.
Right. Yeah, I understand, and so I would say that is a very very narrow framing of a larger problem. You know, my thought is that, and again, this is not to say that you know, one side's bad, the other side's worse in respect to this one activity, and therefore they're overall worse. Does that make sense?
I guess it's just like, as a moderate, how can you take a position on any, like right now, do you agree with the statement that Donald Trump is the most corrupt, openly corrupt president in American politics?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you have like a Trump and a Biden, I would argue if you're a moderate, you'd have to be pro. Even if you don't like Biden, you'd have to be like, all right, this guy's objectively better when it comes to corruption. So do you agree with that, or?
Well, I mean, I think if we narrowly tailor this, you know, to a corruption discussion, you know, that might be easy to say. I think that, you know, this situation, the collision between the two ideologies is so much more broad than just corruption. Now, what I would say is that, you know, insofar as the politicians are disgorging the American public from tax dollars, assets, future earnings, I would say that what the Trump administration doing is absolutely much worse than the few things that the Biden administration did. But I disagree with the Trump Biden framing of this. You know, I think that the larger discussion should be the Republican Party at large versus the DNC at large, and I think together, when taken whole, I think that there's a pretty close balance. My personal view is that each party represents different groups of oligarchs that have different financial interests. And it's almost a push and pull between the two parties as to, you know, what they can get us as the voting populace to accept.
So my big thing would be in the policies they actually pass. There are different coalitions of voters, and there are some Democrats who are in bed with the same people that some Republicans are in bed with. But I'd say that if you look in terms of like, if I'm going to look at these separate groups and judge the parties as a whole, it's very difficult. But I can look at what the parties do with their power, for example. So Democrats have a lot more, there's a lot more influence in Democratic politics from labor unions and teachers unions. And that's why Democrats are more pro-union in general.
I think those are the strongest influences, the most, and of course, forgive me, because I'm getting the feedback here from the live stream.
You can pause the live stream in the background.
I think that'd be a good idea. And so what I'm trying to say is that when we talk about the left organization, I think when you're talking about the left organization, I think the groups that you named, those are the white gloves groups. Those are the easy to defend groups, right? Like like your labor unions, your teachers unions. I mean, those are the
Yeah, okay. Let me just
the-
refine this down to a more clear point. So Democrats pass more policies that tax the wealthy and give Americans health care. Joe Biden invested more money in American roads and bridges than any president in the past like 50 years. Donald Trump is taking money away from those purposes.
did
So
he,
like
or
it's a
did he
big
try
difference.
to?
So there are certain
he
bills
or
you can
did
look
he-
up. So you can look up these bills. One is called the Inflation Reduction Act. One is called the Chips and Science Act. One is called the American Bipartisan Infrastructure Act. These are all actual laws because Trump always talked about infrastructure week and investing in American roads and bridges. Joe Biden actually did it. And these policies Joe Biden did, more money went to red states than blue states. Because Joe Biden, like these policies were broadly good for Americans.
Because the infrastructure was less developed, right?
Yeah, red states are less developed in general, so the feds, they get more federal bailouts in general. But like that's just a clear difference in where money's being spent. So Trump is spending all that money in foreign wars. Trump is spending all that money on the Iran war. We spent over $100 billion so far on the Iran war. Joe Biden spent that in America.
I believe that you're narrowing these very complex issues.
See, this is the issue with
to a point
centrism
where
and
it
moderate
actually-
politics, though, because I'm not narrowing it down. These are the biggest policies that can affect the American people in American history, the biggest investments in American history. And you're saying these are narrow points. And I'm talking about Trump is investing the money instead of roads and bridges like Joe Biden did. But let me finish a point. Let me finish a point. So Joe Biden invested this money in American roads and bridges. Donald Trump is investing it in foreign wars. Like hey, let me finish that sentence. Okay. Joe Biden did. I just listed the policies in which he did this with. Okay, this is a fact. You can look it up. Donald Trump is investing this money in foreign wars, getting Americans killed, killing our reputation on the global stage, giving us $5 gas. It's not the same, whatever. It's not a narrow view. These are the biggest issues affecting all of humanity right now. And you're saying it's a narrow view. And this is why people say moderates and centrism is a bullshit concept in the year of our Lord 2026. How can you even take a position?
So I disagree, and I think
I know you
it's
do,
easy. And I think it's easy if we were to take the worst positions of both sides, then it would be easy to straw man either side.
Yes, but the
and
worst
say,
positions
okay,
of the right wing are happening. The worst positions of the left wing are one seat in Congress. That's the difference. It's the Republican president that they see as a god, and the Democrats have like one person who's radical in Congress, like 1% of the party that's leading the Republican Party.
And I hear that position, but what I would say is that what we're seeing as far as what you're saying, the worst seat on the right side, I believe power is waning from that. I believe even the conservative thinking people in America are moving away from that. I think that there was a platform that for better or worse, the Trump administration ran on early on that spoke to a certain demographic of people. And once that started to take root, we saw a grand depart from those fundamentals. And now what we're seeing these people that as they got in power, the old saying, to the victor goes the spoils. And we see them just a hand over fist, just grabbing all of the riches and wealth of the nation that they can on their way out. And I think that's a problem. And I think a lot of conservatives see that as a problem.
I disagree, though. I just don't agree that they see it as a problem.
Which is fine. I mean,
I don't see them talking about it ever. Like the thing conservatives talk about is the one transgender athlete.
Just hear me out.
We see policies, we see what they say, we see what they do.
Listen, I let you talk. Just hear me out. When you say I don't see them talking about it, like what are you talking about them? Like are you talking about the silent majority that are that their support for certain things?
Okay, so I gotta listen. I'm talking about the policies of the United States president, who they view as a god. I'm talking about the Congress. I'm talking about the Supreme Court. I'm talking about the entire position of the Republican Party. The Republican Party views Trump as an infallible figure. He can do nothing wrong that they'll say he is going to be rejected from the party.
I'm telling you right now, they don't anymore. I know people that were like pro-Trump, like do or die, his first election, and
Okay,
now
let me
it's
just
like, there
finish.
are
Let me
some
finish this
concerning
point. Let me
facts
finish
coming
this
out.
point. Let me finish this point. The way you're describing things in the world, nothing can be focused on. I cannot critique the president. I cannot critique Congress. I cannot critique what the media, right-wing media says. I cannot critique literally anything. Although their president is a crazy radical doing these highly unpopular policies, no matter what I say, you're just gonna dissolve it down to, well, both sides are bad. There's issues. How can you pinpoint it down to one thing and make a debate over it? Like, we have to be able to say these are metrics in which we judge success by a president, or by, or for our country is a laughing stock now with Donald Trump as president, and he's falling asleep everywhere. He's profiting from it. He's giving his kids government contracts. He's getting us into more foreign wars.
But the last one was falling
It's
asleep
okay. It's
too.
not just an
What
issue.
I'm trying to do.
It's not just an
what I'm
issue,
trying to
though.
do
This is the issue.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to zoom out a little bit. And what I'm trying to say is our nation is bigger, and the issues we face are bigger than whatever doofus we have in power.
Oh, the issues are bigger than whoever the person controlling the entire globe is. It's just, do you see how that can be a little bit frustrating?
Well, I'm sure it is frustrating. I think it's frustrating for everybody on all the parties.
How can
across
if the
parties
president
and
doesn't
the
matter,
country.
what does matter then? Okay, if the president does not matter, what does matter?
Well, I don't know. I mean, and I wish I did, but what I can say is I worked in extensively in legislative analysis, providing support to various members of the House of Representatives, trying to help them kind of parse through proposed litigation and decide what to get passed. And during my work there, I realized, like we would have meetings, and they would come out and they would drive their issue, and there'd be this big fire, this big dumpster fire that needs to be extinguished. And then we have big groups of people that get together and figure out how can we overcome this. And then we watch the representatives that we were helping, we watch them go and meet with the people from the other side, and they negotiate all these things. And it seemed like the value shifted from our internal communications as far as what our side needs to get done, and then what they saw as victories, when they went back to the Capitol. And what I began to gather is that a lot of this is theater. A lot of it's theater for us simple voters, and we get down in the mud and we fight over these very narrow issues.
Okay,
larger issues.
I appreciate it. But the thing is, I talk about the Iran war, for example. Republicans talk about the one transgender athlete in the middle of like Oklahoma that they found, like in a random story. It's not the same whatsoever. I have real problems. I have real concerns. I have real solutions as well. They are a bullshit political movement. It's a bullshit. No, the trans athlete is a fake issue. That's a fake issue. The real issue is the Iran war. Any American talking more about trans athletes instead of the Iran war should never vote again. I'm just kidding. But anyways, hey, I appreciate the call. I appreciate the call. I have to move on to other callers, but I do appreciate you calling in. I'll give you a final word.
Yeah, what I would say is that they're both issues, and I don't know that one's more important than the other. I would agree that one's a distraction and one is more consequential. But, one thing that we didn't even have a chance to get into is that, to a certain degree, we have to crack eggs to make an omelet. And whether the Iran war is... Okay,
it's all bullshit. It's all cliches. Have a good night. It's so dumb. I can't do it. We have to crack an egg to make an omelet. Just shut up, dude. Like, holy shit, bro. I'd rather talk to a Nazi than a moderate, bro. I'd rather talk to a Nazi than a moderate. At least they know what they want. At least they have a belief to talk about. Holy shit, not really. I'm kidding. It's a joke. Funny, haha, bro. All right, so I can't talk about the president. I can't talk about the most consequential policies and war affecting the entire globe. What can I talk about? Well, I don't know. Please make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe. This is the amazing content you get watching my stream when I take callers. Please consider donating, super chats, become a channel member for $3 on YouTube Shorts. On YouTube, taking these calls does take a mental toll on me, and I make no ad revenue. I might make like $5 in ad revenue for the entire night for 5 hours of streaming or 3 hours of streaming or whatever. So every donation is super appreciated to help me do this content. Do this content more often. Random sound effect by accident. Sorry. Oh, good. I wasn't recording that call. I didn't want to record it anyway. I did not want to. Yeah. Why would I record that call? Why would I care? Why would I care about recording that call? Why would I care about that? Anyways, okay. Phone lines are open again. Please follow. Thank you for following. Phone lines are open. I saw a phone caller's call. You can call back in now. Listen, you gotta crack a lot of eggs to make an omelet. Shut your mouth. Shut your dirty mouth. Hello, calling you about politics. Calling you back.
Yes. What topic would you like to discuss?
Hey, I mean, if you've been watching, you can pick one.
All right. I feel like the Iran war is actually something good that we need to do. Iran has been messing with us for years, threatening to nuke us, and for real, it's a topic he loves to discuss and loves to put out there. But if they do get nukes, they will use them.
Okay, why do we not invade North Korea?
I understand where you're going with this. They do have nukes. But if we really wanted to, we could wipe North Korea off the face of the earth, but we don't. There is a reason we don't.
Why?
I feel like that not wiping them out sets a tone for the rest of the world that we can take care of everything in the world without having to use nukes.
Well, North Korea also has nukes. North Korea has nukes. That's one reason why we probably don't attack them directly very often. They also have Russia and China right next to them, so pretty much supplementing everything they do. And they give like people to be in the Russian war machine to go die in the front lines. Okay, so when we talk about Iran and it being a good thing, so Iran messes with us. It's bad for them to have a nuke. So what Trump has done so far with Iran, so we don't have access to the Strait of Hormuz. We have not really affected their nuclear capabilities that much. We have drained our global military supply by like 60 or 70%, like a huge amount. We are struggling to keep up economically. Iran is able to control the Strait of Hormuz with like minimal effort and drones. We were begging for like a nuclear deal. Now we're begging for them to reopen the Strait of Hormuz as like the smallest ask, and gas is going to be above $5 an hour if this keeps going. So like, what do you see as a positive so far, or do you just like think in general it's a good thing to attack Iran?
All right. The thing is, it's in general, it is a good thing to go ahead and take care of the Iran issue, but there are so many things that lead up to that. Iran has been providing money to Russia and weapons from Russia to be able to fund the Iran war, or the Ukraine war. Sorry, I'm tired of being up all day taking care of my kid. But with Russia being able to get money and weapons from Iran, they're still being able to continue the war. And we're still providing weapons and interceptors and everything depleting our own stock. And I feel like if we wipe the funding out, take care of the funding for all the terrorist organizations, because Iran's funding them, knock them out, don't have to worry about it no more. We can fund other things like taking care of Russia, making sure they don't.
So as a result of Trump's Iran conflict so far, Russia and Iran have more cash on hand than they did pretty much ever before, and more leverage for Iran than ever before. And the demands they're going to make is going to make the Iran nuclear deal that Obama did seem like pennies when it's finally said and done. So we're putting them in a stronger position. We're begging them for even the Strait of Hormuz to be reopened. The IRGC there is more radical and more determined than ever before. And there seems to be no way out of the war that we started with Iran. So the stuff you're saying can sound, fun in concept, but it's the same as if you would say that Iraq or Afghanistan or like invading Iraq would be a good idea, and we could just blow them up really quick, like shock and awe, like we tried doing under Bush. and we can topple dictatorships and have a more, pro-American regime in place. That country was a lot weaker and smaller and less complicated than Iran, and they did not control 20% of the world's, energy supply. And that still resulted in ISIS and resulted in a bigger headache and more destabilization and more danger all throughout the Middle East. So,
See, what my opinion is, we did amazing with the shock and awe campaign during Desert Storm and everything, but the problem is we got into the business of nation building. We tried to build a whole nation instead of getting out of there, like we did with Venezuela. Well, I'm not agreeing with everything we did with Venezuela, but we took the leader and got out. We should have just got out of there and not try to build the whole entire nation.
But we left the same. But in Venezuela, we left the same government in place. So the leaders in these regimes.
I don't agree with everything, but we.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, fundamentally,
we should have done that.
Like just Saddam or just Soleimani in Iran, for example, that is not where the power comes from. The police and security forces in Venezuela are the same. The person in charge right now is Delcy Rodriguez, who's the right-hand person, who was the right-hand person of Maduro, and that's not comparable whatsoever with Iraq. And there is no way to enter campaigns like this without doing some like nation building type of thing, because you have to have full integration into these countries, and it still did not work. You're going to cause civil wars in the region. You're going to cause other factions to fill power vacuums. Iran would be it would be a full-on commitment. It'd be tens of thousands of Americans dead. Like, there's just no positive result. Like right now we're in a hard. I don't know. It just doesn't make any. I don't know, man. It doesn't make any sense. It seems pretty bad so far.
With everything going on, like with there's a whole funding scheme. Iran is able to fund Russia with the Ukraine war, and they're also able to fund the terrorists, like I was saying, with all the terrorist organizations in the region. They're able to destabilize us enough to push us back. See, what we need to do, we need to go ahead and actually just let our military off loose. I'm not saying invade.
We tried, but man, we tried doing that. We drained like 60% of our global Tomahawk missile supply. We drained all of our interceptors. We're spending $5 million to take down $10,000 drones. Here's how I'll ask this question. So John Ossoff, a guy running as a Democrat in Georgia for the U.S. Senate, he might run for president. He said today, on day 9 of the war, the incompetent Pete Hegseth guaranteed Iranian surrender. On day 14, he claimed Iran's military had been destroyed. On day 40, he said every single objective had been achieved. That was 4 months ago. They've lied nonstop about this war, like they lie about everything. They know they're lying, but they lie and they keep lying anyway, because lying in this White House is viewed as a virtue. And I will also add to that in 2025, a year before this entire thing started, Trump said we obliterated Iran's entire military and entire nuclear program, so we were done at that point. So just knowing those facts, it seems pretty bad.
We didn't obliterate their nuclear program. I can say that. They was able to move. There were satellite pictures of them having dump trucks in the region, at the plant and everything, able to move material out of the area before we could strike. I think giving them heads up is a bad thing to do, but I think what we're doing is we're slowly depleting our stock. Yes, I'll give you that, but we're also slowly depleting their ability to fight this. If we continue this, Russia is going to be barely able to fight Ukraine. Ukraine's still already taken back a lot of ground in the area. They're able to hold off Russia and attack deeper into Russia each and every day, and that's allowing their money to be drained. The longer we fight Iran is the more material and more weapons that Russia don't have for Ukraine, and China is going to be in the area too. China's trying to take over the region also and trying to get more of a dominant footprint in the region. So if we don't keep this up, China's going to see us as weak. And
they already see us as weak. And Trump went to China and basically told them we're not going to help Taiwan if China. And he basically said like maybe China should take Taiwan. And for Russia, their cash flow has increased because if Iran messes with the oil supply coming out of the Strait of Hormuz, the country that benefits the most has been Russia, because they are now a huge provider in the global oil market. So whenever the oil prices go up, they are going to be, the demand shoots up, and they will be a large provider. And if we're going to be losing out on capacity, then Russia has made billions and billions and billions of dollars per week, per day, whatever, however amount. Whichever amount, it's been a lot of money that Russia has made from the Iran conflict. And if you think about America fighting this little Iranian country that has a military from the 1980s, is draining like half of our total munitions globally, half of our interceptors globally. We have dozens of Americans dead, hundreds injured. They're closing the Strait of Hormuz, and we're begging for them to open it. We cannot touch their nuclear program. And all the experts say we got to either go on a ground campaign, we got to pay off Iran, or whatever. It just seems, and I appreciate the call, I appreciate the conversation. It just seems, from every way we can verify, it seems like a very messed up situation. But I'll give you the final word here.
You're good. If you want more, if everybody listening wants more information on the reason I feel the way I feel, they can watch Speak the Truth podcast, and he goes into depth on the money laundering, the money transfers, all the oil aspect. I think in the region, the last word or whatever is that if we don't keep this going, we're just going to allow our enemies to run all over us, just like we did back with Biden. And Biden did allow our stockpile to get depleted, and he did allow a lot of our equipment to be left over in Iraq or in Afghanistan. And with everything going on, it's just not a great move to just start something and not finish it out. If we can get this done quick.
Okay, one final question then. One final question. My final question. If you could go back before the start of this thing, would you say the Trump admin should make this decision, or would you tell them to go a different route? Because I know you said now that we're in it, that you think Trump should stay in it, but do you think he should have made a different decision as far as getting into it?
Well, there's a couple different things he could have done differently. Not having a escort decision previous to like the bombing campaign, we should have had a better plan to begin with going into it. I agree on that. But he should have just one and done, take out everything he could, and instead of just saying, hey, we took out everything, and kind of lying on the issue, which is a lot of the problem he has, saying, hey, we're done, and then 3 months later, hey, there's an agreement made. But he should have just bombed the hell out of them, send special operations in to take their leader and capture him. Maybe use a nuclear penetrator, depending on the nuclear fallout issue. From what I hear, it could have been captured within the soil and not irradiate the country. But there's a lot of different options I'm hearing he could have done. But from what I'm seeing now, he's on track to being taking care of the terrorists in the region, Iran, and showing our enemies that we're not playing. And our industrial capacity is growing every day with the Defense Production Act, because a lot of different companies are starting to make missiles and products for our military.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate the comment. Feel free to call in again in the future.
No problem, man. It was nice talking to you.
Yep. Same here. Have a good night, man. Peace. Yeah, I agree. Someone in chat said, why not listen to even military experts, historians, professors, journalists, scientists, whatever? Why listen to a random guy? I listen to this podcast. It is difficult. Yeah, anyone who using a nuke, that's a pretty big deal. It's not just like a normal consideration, obviously. Big deal. Let's see what we got next. Pretty good calls. Pretty good calls so far. Yeah, pretty good calls. I'll take it. I'll take it. Who's this guy? Wait, when did this guy call? 11:31. When did I get this voicemail? 41?
Hello.
Hey, you left a voicemail. This is the YouTube politics show calling you back. We got around 500 viewers and you're live.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out what you're in what are you trying to prove or not prove in your debates?
So one big thing I want is an American public that'll vote in a direction where we have real anti-corruption laws, where politicians like Trump cannot make multi-billion dollars, and this goes for anyone in any party, cannot make billions or millions of dollars off insider trading and being openly corrupt with cryptocurrencies or stocks. So I'm very in favor of something like that. So I hope through conversation I can convince more people to, elect politicians who vote in that direction. So that's one issue that I'd be concerned about and my overall goal. Is that what you mean, or?
Well, no, I mean it's easy to criticize any president, on hindsight, and I think that with this war with Iran, Trump considered all the proxies that were involved with Iran. He took all that into consideration, and it's a shame we had to go in that direction, but at the same time, I think he didn't have a choice not to, because of the other presidents that just refused to address this issue.
Well, wasn't Trump surprised that Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz, and he never heard about the Strait of Hormuz till now? It seems like that was the most obvious thing you could have known about this conflict.
He knew about all this. If you really look at all the facts, he knew everything about going. He doesn't just jump into these things like some of the media says. He considers all the facts involved, and he wants to be he's a winner. He doesn't go into something not thinking
He's
that
a
not-
winner. See, like when you say he's a winner, that seems like an emotional thing. Like it sounds like you're talking about Tom Brady and LeBron James, like you're a big sports fan. Like he's a winner. Kobe Bryant got the killer instinct. No, we're talking about like when Trump talks about the Strait of Hormuz, he says no one knew they were going to close the Strait of Hormuz. Who would have guessed? And I'm like, I would hope you would have guessed, because that's like obviously what Iran was going to do if we went for this campaign. And they have drone technology that we've been seeing in Ukraine for years and years, and we don't have any anti-Ukraine or Trump is pretty anti-Ukraine, but we don't have our anti-drone technology that we need.
You're going to let me ask the questions, or so? Why didn't any of the other presidents address this issue? Why did they dump it on Trump like this? They this has been going on for years. This is nothing new, and so Trump said, "Hey, enough is enough. They're making us look like fools."
No other president entered a war like this, right? Because Israel has wanted us to do this war for a while, but Obama took the smart route and got Iran in a nuclear deal instead.
You think Obama did the right thing by not addressing this?
By doing a nuclear deal, he did address it, and that's the same deal Trump is trying to get now. Trump is trying to do like an Obama type nuclear deal now. That's what Trump is trying to do.
I don't think that's really a fair statement that you just made. I don't think so.
What deal is Trump trying to get? What's happening now? Because we were told months ago this was going to be over. We're told last year they're obliterated. So what the hell is going on right now? What are we waiting for? What are we doing?
What do you and I really know about the government and what they're doing and not doing? I mean, we really.
What can we know? We can't know anything. I can't even read.
Well, all you can do is read.
I can't even think. I don't know what to say or think. I can't trust the president's words. I can't trust anyone's words. I can just think whatever I want, right? Who cares?
Well, I mean, the media is throwing out all kinds of junk. That's not true. I think our country is we're taking wrong steps, and I think that I really think myself, from what I can see, and I try to help a lot of people in California. I'm from California, and I think the best thing we can do is get back on a high moral ground. Forget about. I mean, I'm not talking about religions. I'm talking about just common sense and doing the right thing for one another.
Oh, well, Trump right now wants to torture and abuse Haitians for no reason. Is that doing the right thing for one another?
Why would you make a statement like that?
Because the White House is making posts bragging about deporting Haitians who are here on protective status who are going to be beheaded when they go back to Haiti. People who have been vetted through every process possible, who commit no crimes, who work up at 4 a.m. every day to go to work, who are in America currently. Trump is celebrating sending them to their death. For what reason? Is that treating people well? When Trump says Somalis are low IQ and garbage people, when Trump says that Somalis have garbage in their blood, is that love for each other and love for our fellow humans?
For a fact that Trump made those kind of statements.
100%. He said you can tell they're criminal just by looking at them.
I think you're taking it out of context. But
the Trump White House is posting this. This is their official policy. They are deporting these Haitians to their death for no reason. These are people who followed the right process. They have done no crime. These are the most thoroughly vetted people in the world. We're sending them back to Haiti for no reason.
You have people take millions of dollars from our government dishonestly. So how can you say, when he did the audits and he found out all this is going on,
the Haitians are not involved in any of those claims even. Okay, the Haitians have done nothing wrong for us to be hating them. But the Trump White House chose they are an ethnic group we do not like. Okay, that Trump does not like. He wants them to go die.
All they're trying to do is take people that are in this country illegally.
Wrong. False. Wrong. They are deporting innocent people to their death for no reason, who they could be keeping here under protective status or asylum.
I would like to see statistics, the real truth. Print out statistics.
You can look up right now, out of Trump's accepted asylum seekers and refugees, it's like 99% white refugees. 99.9% white. We have almost a white-only refugee policy under Donald Trump from South Africa. We barely accept anyone from any other country around the world. It's based on skin color. It's based on... I can't even say Christianity, because they talk about persecution of Christians in, like, Nigeria, but I don't see them helping a bunch of Nigerian Christians being persecuted, to come to America to be safe. It's about, hey, I don't expect you to agree with me. I'm just saying things that I see the White House, the official government say. I think it's pretty shitty. You say we should treat people well. Donald Trump is probably the most despicable piece of garbage human fuck in the world, and supporting him is just, like, bad.
Why do you make these kinds? Because when you make statements like that, that shows me that you're not really talking from facts. You're just throwing words out there that would help, try to win over people for a Democrat government instead of just saying, forget about Democrats, forget about Republicans, and let's do the right thing.
Everything is said about Haitians is a fact. You know the Haitians they said are eating cats and dogs in Ohio? The Republican mayor said that's not true. The Republican police chief said that's not true. The Republican governor said that's not true. But Trump kept on saying that Haitians are eating cats and dogs, and he called them savages who need to be deported immediately. They will lie. They will do anything to torture these immigrants. It's all facts.
If you really want to know the facts, why don't you call the government and say, look, what
they have already done all of this, dude. They've done all of this reporting.
You have facts, written facts from the government.
Yes, from the police chief, from the mayor there. There's no evidence of any of this happening. But Trump still said it because he wanted to paint Haitians as vicious savages that we can justify abusing. Yeah, that happened.
Do you think he's trying to make these people look like they're really bad people?
Yes.
Is that what?
Obviously. Yeah, he said they eat cats and dogs. He called them savages. What else does that, with no evidence, what else does that mean?
Hispanic people.
All right, if I call you, you eat cats and dogs and you abuse children, right?
You could say it.
Yeah, why would I say that? What's my intention there? I have no proof, right? I have no proof that you abuse children, but why would I say it? What's my intention?
You could even try to get the media to start saying stuff like that against me.
Yeah, and that's what Trump does against Haitians, because he wants people to view Haitians as bad, and I don't like that.
I don't know that he's trying to get you or me to hate anybody. I think he's trying to run a government and do the best he can with what he has.
And he needs to call... Wait, what does calling Haitians savages who eat cats and dogs, what does that have to do with running a government? Is that a requirement to run the government, is to be racist?
You're taking one issue, okay?
Hey, if my neighbor is a good volunteer firefighter, but he's a KKK member, I'm probably going to not like him, even though he's a volunteer firefighter. And Trump is neither of those things. He has no, like... Well, he's one of those things. He is one of those things, but it's not a firefighter.
Who are you saying? Trump what now?
I don't know. Hey, I'm sorry. I appreciate the conversation. I'll try to put a video up with all the facts you need, but I don't know. I think Trump's a bad guy because of what he does and says. You don't. Okay, okay. I'll ask you the question then. How does Trump, as a role model or as like a president, what is something good Trump does that encourages us to treat each other the right way?
Well, I think he's within our country. He's taught me how to help other people. That's what he's done for me.
Okay,
when
how?
When I look at him and all the, I mean, let's face it, the guy's rich. He didn't have to run for president. Okay.
You know, okay, I'm sorry. Trump made more money in his 2 years as president than he did his entire life combined. You know that? He made more money through corruption and cryptocurrencies and crooked deals with foreign governments. Yeah, you don't know that, and that's what the issue is. You don't know any of these facts. But you think he's a good person because you don't know who he actually is. Yeah, you don't understand. Like, he is the most corrupt president in American history. Him being, again, he made more money as president, billions of dollars, than he did his entire life combined. And you're saying he told you, he showed you how to help people because you don't know what's going on, man. Look, just Google it. Just look it up one day. You could watch even Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson talk about it at this point. You know, Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens have gone into length and a lot of other even conservative figures about how corrupt Trump is. You know, do you ever watch them? I'm not a fan of them, but I think they might be able to speak to you in a way you'll agree with more than I can.
Are you Democrat or Republican?
Definitely not Republican.
So would you consider yourself to be a Democrat then?
Yeah, I mean, mostly, especially in this political environment, yeah.
I try to take both sides and look at both sides. And I think that we need to get back to the basics. Forget about being a Democrat or a Republican, because then you're choosing sides. And whenever there's sides, there's division. Whenever there's division, our country's going to fall. We have to have a common ground. We have to come together. We have to work together to really have this country stand, because we have a lot worse people in other worlds. I mean, they're trying to make the United States, go socialism. Would you agree to that? Do you think that the Democrat Party is purposely trying to make us go socialism?
I like the idea of taxing Elon Musk to help us build better roads and bridges. I think that's a good thing. I don't know what you think socialism is. If you think that's socialism, I like them doing that. I'm not a socialist. I'm not in favor of socialism, but I do like that they want to spend money on Americans and not spend money on foreign wars with Iran. I do like that.
You go to any other country that's a true socialist country or a communist country, and you talk to these people and see, why is everybody wanting to come to the United States? If it's so bad, how come that everybody?
Well, Europe too. Europe is pretty. I mean, Europe has universal health care. We do not. Europe has universal child care in most countries. We do not. Like, they give a lot to their people that we do not give to our people. We give a lot of corporate subsidies to big companies, which, I mean, you could agree or disagree with a lot of that stuff, but like, that we could be doing so much more for our own people, like paid family medical leave. We don't have that. Other countries do.
From people that have earned it because they're making a lot of money, right? You want to take that money away and give it to people that haven't worked for it.
No, I think so. Elon Musk is a trillionaire. So if you're a trillionaire, or if you make a couple $1 million, or if you make 500 grand a year or something, you pay a little bit more in taxes to make sure that a kid doesn't starve next door, or that a kid has an opportunity, and that benefits you too. Because if a kid next door has an opportunity and grows up in a better household, and their parents have a job, and that kid has a job, then the crime rate's going to go down. So instead of funding the police only, you could fund other programs that result in a lower crime rate, and you can make. And you said we should care for one another. My contention would be, you should be more concerned as an American, not that you're taxed too high or low, but that the taxes you do pay are put to the right direction. Do you agree with that a little bit?
Okay, I'll give you an example how that works. I came from a city. I'm not going to mention its name, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I lived there from 1972 till about 4 years ago, and I moved and the time that I was in that city, I constantly tried to have them build a facility for homeless people. And you know that every year they spent over $65,000. They gave it to the police department to go into these camps where the homeless people slept and push them out every year. This went on for years after years after years. And several of us would go in and say, look, we need a facility for the homeless people. Okay. Oh, we don't want that. We don't want to attract more homeless people. And yet I showed them in Santa Barbara, they had the best facilities up there for homeless people. And it worked great. And yet this particular city refused to build a homeless center there in their town. Okay?
Yeah, that's really tough. That's a tough issue.
That budget now is probably up to about $100,000 every year they give to the police department to chase out these homeless people. That's not the answer, and yet that's what's going on. So why I don't understand this Democrat and this Republican. Let's quit fighting like this. Let's come together and let's work on the real issues here in the United States.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like the issue is that like conservatives right now want to like I don't know, you don't see it, I guess, but the way they talk about homeless people is not in the right direction whatsoever, and we got to do things better.
Do you think I'm a conservative?
I think you're probably a centrist, if I had to assume.
I'm just one person trying to make other people.
You're just an amazing guy. Hey, I think you sound like a good guy. I just think that thinking Trump's a good guy is insane. So I appreciate the call. I hope you call in again sometime. I'm gonna move on to one more caller for tonight. I do appreciate the call. I appreciate the conversation.
Have a nice night.
All right, thank you too, man. Ooh, I am a center. I actually don't know where I am. How can I make an affirmative statement in any direction? All I know is you're wrong. I don't know what's right, but I do know you're wrong. All right, guys. That's all I gotta know. I don't know why you're right, but I do know you're wrong. Yeah. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following. YouTube Shorts, we're at 300 viewers. TikTok, we're at 80 viewers. Again, I'm really happy about that. I am really happy about that because TikTok, my stream had 0 viewers on TikTok. I barely even used it. But the last 3 days, I've had a lot of TikTok viewers, so I appreciate you guys on there too. I will say that YouTube Shorts always has more people. Well, typically has more people. And if you're involved in Discord at all, if you want to be involved in online Discord communities and have people to talk to about politics and current events, please consider joining up on Discord. Base Age wants to talk. Okay. Hey, I'm live. Who wants to talk? I'm live.
Space Age Cheddar. Yeah.
Okay, I'll drag you over.
We'll finish this another time.
All right, here's the final caller for tonight. There are a few people talking in Discord if you guys want to go hang out there too. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going? Having fun in Discord? What were you talking about in the general chat?
Well, I think the guys were kind of jerking me around a little bit, and we were kind of starting to get into socialism, capitalism, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Libertarianism, and I made the comment that like we don't actually live in a capitalistic society right now.
I would agree with that in ways. So what do you want to talk to me about?
I don't know. I mean, where do you want to start? Because we can start.
Where are you
anywhere.
coming from? What are you coming from?
Well, my thing, I will say this. I mean, if we were going to start on a place of contention, I mean, I don't think the centrist issue is necessarily something that we should really be focused on pushing one way or another. Like, it's very important that a population has a centrist group. Now, I've only watched you tonight, so, I don't know the ins and outs of your positions.
Mm-hmm.
However, like, a population needs a space to come together and talk about ideas that they agree on, right? So in any historical society where you see massive division and then, either an expulsion of one side a civil war, or some sort of severe radicalization, you basically you remove comedy, you remove literature, you remove centrism, and then you indoctrinate a population. So when it comes down to the whole like we need to get rid of the centrists and you need to take a side, I do understand, because the political situation in the country right now is real bad. And like I'm not here to debate you on whether Trump sucks, because objectively Trump sucks, right?
Sure.
However, on the centrist issue, you know, I don't consider myself a centrist, but I definitely look at multiple different groups, you know,
Yeah,
within our
that's fine.
political
The issue is when we talk about centrism or centrists, there's a characterization of someone or a caricature of someone who is going to say, you know, both sides are bad, but Trump is the less of two evils, and he's actually pretty good in some ways. So largely, it's going to be people who are actually Trump supporters who actually support Trump, but they say they're centrist and moderate to appear more reasonable, so that when they say they do support someone, they are, you know, they did it from an unbiased perspective. They don't want to admit that they always like conservatism or whatever. Because I'm a moderate, I'm a centrist, and I still like Trump, so that gives more credence and credibility to my position. And usually people like that don't say, I'm openly a centrist, and as a result, I decided Joe Biden's the better option. It's almost always going to be a way to conceal their hard support for Donald Trump, and that's the only thing I have a contention with. Like the first guy I talked to kept saying, I'm like, hey, Biden was one of the cleanest politicians ever in American history when it comes to money in politics. Donald Trump is one of the worst, probably the worst, and they cannot definitively say that Trump is more corrupt than Biden. That is an issue to me.
So I would agree for the most part on, yeah, no, I mean, I would actually agree generally. I would think that one of the things that Trump did, which was really interesting to kind of watch manifest, was somewhere between, I would say 2018 to like 2022. I was a first time Trump supporter, okay? I voted for Trump. I've proudly voted for Trump. I didn't vote in this last election or the previous election, right? And then I voted for a third party candidate in this last one.
Ooh,
right?
which one?
Dude, oh, God. I voted for RFK before he went to. Listen, no, I voted for RFK before he went into the Trump coalition. Okay, and I did that because of a number of things that I'm just not relevant right now. Right.
Okay.
Now, my perspective on that now, different, whatever. However, the thing that I saw was that we have this almost sensationalism, which was really brought on by Trump. So now you can see this playing out now. So you see, you know, low IQ, you see these names being thrown out, and then they're being adopted by the greater population or the greater political conversation. And it's really being driven by this administration. Like, very much so. This administration is not presidential, okay, in the way that it conducts itself.
I wouldn't allow them to move in. I wouldn't trust them to be a Walmart greeter, like any of these people.
Oh,
I wouldn't trust them to be around kids or children or any human being in a public setting. I would not. Yeah, they'd have to work in some obscure location picking up, like, I don't know, dirt or something. Like, these people are crazy.
But I don't see the argument necessarily to, like, support that the Democrats are significantly any better. So I'm 33.
I mean, I could name reasons if you want me to. Then.
Well, you can, and that's fine. I mean, I'll listen. I of course, but this is the crux of my argument, right? I have never had my life got better. Okay, so in all of of just kind of my life, and you know, I work in a very respected industry. I work with kids. I'm in college. I do my thing. I work with autism, right? I've never had a year over year that I'm like, damn, my life's getting better, right? However, we can point to these policies and go like, oh man, this is good. So, I mean, I'm interested to hear specifically where in which has any policy specifically impacted my life better or made my life better? You know, what do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, in particular with people who with disabilities, Trump is like slashing funding for their care. But like for your own life, there's a policy that came through. So Republicans and Democrats rarely have bipartisan bills, especially in the era of Trump. There was a housing bill. I forget the exact mechanism of its function, but I think it was about like breaking up big conglomerates or big companies that own a bunch of housing or whatever. Republicans and Democrats supported it with a veto-proof supermajority, and Trump refused to sign it. He refused to sign a bill that would lower housing costs for Americans.
Right.
When Trump ran for office, he said he had concepts of a healthcare plan, and Trump has invested nothing in American infrastructure. Compare that to Joe Biden and his administration. So you have the Inflation Reduction Act, you have the bipartisan infrastructure act, or whatever the act was called. You have the Chips and Science Act. You had a lot of policies that were very beneficial for average Americans. Not that they work right away, but under Trump, you don't have those policies. Plus, you have brand new wars in the Middle East. And if you look at the national debt, for example, I know I'm kind of all over the place. This is my last call tonight, so I'm a little bit tired. So I apologize if I'm all over the place. But our national debt in the last quarter just went up the highest amount, I think, in American history. And if you look at a graph of national debt between presidents, Republicans consistently since Reagan have spiked our national debt, and Democrats always bring it down. And this goes for every single time. It went up for Reagan, Bush. It went down for Clinton. He had a surplus. It skyrocketed again under the other Bush, George W. Bush. And then it went down under Obama after he dealt with Bush's financial crisis. Then it skyrocketed again under Donald Trump, a record amount. Then it started going down again under Biden. Now that Trump's in office, we're setting records for all-time growth in our national debt, and that's going to saddle us for generations. And the American dollar is weaker. That's going to hurt our savings and hurt our future loans and the stability of our currency. And Trump and so Trump versus Biden on this issue. Trump himself alone, as a single person, as president, he's been president 6 years. I think he is accountable for like over 30% of America's total national debt in our country's history. So on issues like that, Democrats versus Republicans are not even close on any issue that affects Americans other than trans health, or other than trans sports, which is like one athlete in the middle of like friggin' California or whatever.
Yeah, I think the trans conversation is a conversation in itself, right? Because there's a lot that has to go into.
Okay, my thing is, I think it's telling they focus on that issue, and I think it's telling that in a place like West Virginia, for example, West Virginia is a dog shit state that relies on welfare, that has no economy, that has shit leadership, and their governor focuses on transgender athletes, and he was signing an anti-trans sports bill, and a reporter was asking him, can you name one trans athlete in the state? Do you have one example of a trans athlete? He could not name one. And West Virginia is a welfare state. West Virginia is a dogshit state with crumbling infrastructure. They're lucky the mountains are beautiful there. I love West Virginia because of the mountains, all right? But they are dumbasses. And that state, again, it seems like they talk about the trans athletes because they know if they could make people mad enough and just give them welfare, they don't got to actually do anything, you know? I think that's why they focus on it.
That's ideology, though. That is the indoctrination. That's the psychology behind it. That's what's going on. They are
okay.
Selling
Final summary. Final point of it. Yeah, they're selling the ideology and indoctrination. They are selling zero policy. Meanwhile, I have chapters and chapters of facts about Democrats and the policy Democrats have done, even to regulate financial markets and to make sure we have a better tax code to hold people accountable when they hide their tax dollars and don't get taxed correctly from the IRS. Meanwhile, the IRS is going after the little guy, never going after the big fish in the market. So like, in terms of who is paying in terms of taxpayers. So yeah, I agree. It's indoctrination on their side. The left has some of that, but I don't know. There's not one policy. Trump has not passed one piece of legislation this entire presidency at all. Like, he's not done shit. Literally,
well, I mean,
one thing.
The OOBB, or the One Big Beautiful Bill, or whatever was passed. I don't.
Well, that's a funding bill.
Yeah, well, it also made my college more expensive and gave me less money. However, but there was also the IRS increase of during the Biden administration. There's also the question, and this is one of the issues I have majorly with, the Democratic Party, which I think does filter out through, these generalities of media, is that like Joe Biden was, and I'm not saying Trump is because I don't think he is, but Joe Biden was incompetent by the end of like his presidency. I mean, his
He got a lot
cognitive
done.
decline was clear.
He got a lot done. And
Okay,
the IRS
and
is a good
that's
thing, by the
fine.
way. More IRS agents is undisputably a good thing. It's a great thing to have more IRS agents, so they can go after rich people who have more complicated
But they
cases.
weren't going after rich people.
Yes,
That
they
was
were.
the
They were hired for a specific division to go after the ultra wealthy. Trump fired the people that go after the ultra wealthy, and like Trump himself is
Well,
getting
yeah, he made it
immunity.
worse because he's corporate.
Yeah, but Biden's increase in IRS was really good, and that's a way to increase tax revenue without even increasing taxes. Like the IRS when they don't have enough staff, like if the IRS has low capacity and low staff, do they go after the offshore accounts? Do they go after the ultra wealthy, or do you think they go after the little guy? Because I would say they need more capacity to go for the big
Well, of
fish.
course, obviously they're not going to go after the big fish because that's going to make. I mean, that's a fair point.
But Biden was. But they want to say more IRS agents. They're coming for you. But no, the IRS was doing that to go after the wealthy more, because the Bernie Sanders part of the party helped pressure Biden to do more policies like that. And like Biden did policies like like Lena Khan with the FTC, I believe, where it was like the one click to cancel rule for subscriptions. So if you cancel a subscription, they can't play games with you. Airline cancellation fees. If airlines play games with you and change prices around and cancel your flight, they have to pay you back. Trump rolled back these regulations for no reason that were just like quality of life stuff to help consumers.
My mom actually dealt with that over the last weekend. By the way, her flight got canceled. They would not put her up in a hotel. So interesting.
Yeah, and Biden wanted to make that a requirement. Pete Buttigieg, as transportation secretary, wanted to make that a requirement. I can't even name, like Trump supporters I talk to, can't even name examples like that from Republicans, because all they do is like, the transgender immigrants are gonna kill your kids. Like that's all they talk about. It sounds like I'm talking to a bunch of like schizophrenic like mental patients. Like
It is a cult of personality, obviously, but there is a cult of personality on the other side. That is my issue, at least. Well, not my issue, but like
they
that's
don't
why
control the party though. They're a
But
minority
it is
of
still
Democrats. They lead
pervasive.
the Republicans.
But it's still pervasive.
We have
And it's
Hakeem
still
Jeffries and
worthy.
Chuck Schumer as our leaders in Congress and Senate, and in the
It's
House and Senate.
still-
I wish we
it's
had
still-
them.
It's still worth paying attention to.
I agree
right?
with that,
You
but it's
are-
not
you're
nearly
right.
a problem. Nearly as
I
much of
get
a
it,
problem.
But it can become a problem, right? And the issue is that right now we have one party that arguably right now is, I think you said it earlier in the evening, that it's more blatant, it's more obvious. It is going on, it's in your face, like the lying that is occurring on certain things like Iran, right? Like for context, my wife is Ukrainian. We have gone through the entire immigration process. It is fucking broken. Pardon my French. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and
I
Trump
don't
breaks
wanna
it even further.
And
It's
it's
not a real
very-
effort to fix it.
It's real bad. Okay, so like on the Iran conflict, the issues are just so deep, right? There's so many issues with it. And, but at the same time, during the Biden administration, we had this really shaky policy, this really weird thing going on with the Ukraine conflict, where it was like they were allowing certain things, but not allowing certain things, allowing missile launches, allowing targeting data, and it was almost like a continuation. It was involvement, which
Well, I
kind of,
agree that Biden should have gone harder. I think they should have allowed internal strikes to Russia way sooner.
that was the time to finish. That was the time to finish the.
See, that's really
av-
hard though, because parts on the left are anti like funding war, and Republicans all said that if Biden did that, then he's going to move us towards nuclear war, and that was one of Trump's arguments. He's going to end that conflict on day one, and then he started doing like pro-Russian propaganda. He blames Zelensky. He said Zelensky started the war, and he claimed all this stuff about Russia deserves it, like Russia deserves the territory they took, which is all just like. crazy stuff. There's just no like that's the radical of the Republican Party leading things. The Democrats have maybe one congressperson from New York City who has said they believe in like prison abolition
And
or
that's
whatever.
my concern. That's my concern. You literally just touch on it.
Yeah, so there's one congressperson. Meanwhile,
There's no
that's most
direction.
of the Republican Party. They're radicals, and their president is like a cult leader for them, who they see as
Okay.
as an infallible god who wants to put golden statues of himself in the Holy Land.
Okay, but okay. So you've literally, in my opinion, in the midterms. So we're coming up to the midterms, right? And like I'm concerned, right? Because theoretically, if you want to categorize me, I voted Republican. I really didn't, but I mean, I guess I have to fucking own it.
Well, you know
right?
what
I
they
didn't vote
say:
for
when you're
Trump.
young and dumb,
However-
you vote Republican. When you're smart and old, you vote liberal. That's what that's you know what they say.
However, coming up to the midterms, everybody that I listen to, and I listen to a bunch of people, right, is like, my party's winning, my group's winning. This is why we're all going to win. It's like, okay, cool. So no one has a cohesive message. However, I would seriously argue that if you look at what the Democrats sell the American people, it's more difficult to parse. The Republicans have a message, right? They do have and whether or not you
Yeah,
agree with it,
yeah, I know
okay,
they have a message.
They have
I
a
agree.
message. Okay, but they have a following. They have a push, right? They have a cohesive
And it's all dumb
culture.
shit.
And that's fine, and you can say that. But
And
it doesn't
Democrats
make
have a
it-
response. The Democrats' response is funny too, because it is a message, and Trump calls it a hoax. Affordability. Trump calls
Yeah, that was
affordability
a
a
funny
hoax.
one.
And Trump's only message is the illegal trans immigrants are going to come kill your daughter tomorrow. He needs to fearmonger about immigrants and whatever, and say Haitians are going to kill everyone, and that Ukrainians caused wars and whatever else. And then Democrats respond with policies to try and do things like, for example, if there's a data center built nearby, they have to pay every person in that community. They will have to pay into the electricity
That
grid
would
and
be an
lower your
amazing policy.
lower your electricity costs. And that's what Democrats are running on. Republicans are running on. Elon Musk sued, I think, like Wisconsin or something. Elon Musk is pro allowing AI to make naked pictures of naked children. Look up AI Musk, AI lawsuit from Elon Musk. It's crazy. These people are freaks, and they support the Republican Party because they know that the data centers Republicans put in are going to have no restrictions on them. And even if Republicans lie about it, they're never going to actually have regulations on data centers. Democrats want to have like paid family medical leave if you ever have a family someday, or like you said you're just going through like college, so I assume you're like early 20s.
No, I'm actually 33.
You're 33s. Okay, you're going to throw college a little later. Okay, so anyways, even at 33, so like right now in between, that's a better example actually. So like in between jobs, I've had issues where you have a gap in healthcare insurance. In other countries,
I
that'll
don't have
never
healthcare.
happen.
I can't afford it.
Yeah, exactly. So if Democrats increase the chance that'll happen in America, and there's so many different models. If you're in France or Germany or Australia, they have various different forms of healthcare. They all rank higher than America, and they all have life expectancies. On average, someone in Australia or Europe, anywhere in Europe, lives to like 80. And then in America, you live to like 76. And it might seem like, 4 years, but when you look at an average, that's a lot of life that Americans don't get to live in healthy environments because we don't have healthcare, versus these other countries that have a lot less money than we do, but they provide healthcare for their people. And Trump is trying to cut healthcare all across the board, cut Medicare, Medicaid. Like I want Democrats to be in office, because if Democrats are in office, if you lose a job, or if you're in between jobs, or if you're in a job that does not give you healthcare, Democrats in office means you're probably going to be able to get healthcare eventually, if we can add a thing like a public option. A Republican means it's going to be more expensive no matter what.
Yeah, there was something with the healthcare thing. It's an interesting contrast because you do have all of this like accessible healthcare outside. One of the things that I've noticed that the Trump administration has done, and this is coming from personal experience for everyone who's watching or listening. So I work in ABA. If you don't know what that is, that's applied behavioral analysis, right? So I work with autistic children in a clinic, okay? And our clinic is having very difficult times dealing with certain things that the One Big Beautiful Bill, I hate that name, but One Big Beautiful Bill has done in how it allows lower income people to access healthcare. And so it's not that we don't have healthcare, because we do. We actually have some of the most comprehensive healthcare, some of the best healthcare, and some of the most effective healthcare. It is the access to that healthcare. Like, you can't go to, say, a European country necessarily and get the quality of care that you can get here. However, you cannot get the quality of care here because you don't have access to
It's
it. And I
just not
think
necessarily. It's
that's
not
what's straining
so.
it though.
So it is correct that in some fields like cancer, for example, America does very well at the high end. So if you're able to afford really expensive cancer treatments, we have very good specialized treatments in America. But for 90% of healthcare needs, maybe even higher, Europe and Canada exceed what we can do because of what you just said. In your position right now, you can't access that great healthcare that they talk about in America. If you get sick, if you get cancer, or if your family gets an illness or something, you'll have medical debt, and that's the top cause of bankruptcy in America. Medical debt does not exist in any of these countries that have less money than we do. And Democrats want to cancel all medical debt, which is something that I think it would be great for the economy, and it's morally correct as well, because you don't decide if you get cancer necessarily.
You're gonna have to balance that somehow though. Like, it's going to have to come from somewhere, and the increase in the military budget is absurd.
But this
right?
is the
Like,
issue, though. Hey, but think about this. Donald Trump would have been able to with the money we spent on Iran, already. Okay, we could have given like 30 million Americans healthcare. Would you rather? Here, the question really is: would you rather spend money on a bunch of mentally ill, psychotic ICE agents getting more money than the Marine Corps and more money than most militaries globally? Us launching the Iran war, money going into Trump's son's drone companies, or would you rather money going into American roads, bridges, and healthcare? I think Democrats are by far the most America first party when it comes to actual policy and helping people dollar for dollar. One thing to consider is just like how much of that tax revenue that you pay in is going to come back to actually support you and help you, and how do you get closer to Europe? And if the care, see, there's conflicting things here, because in systems that I advocate for in Europe, basically every country there, in Canada, not only do people live 5-6 years longer on average than we do as Americans, you can tell in between states. In California versus Mississippi, you live like 5 years longer on average in California. People are happier in blue states. They report being happier. People report being happier and healthier in Europe. The obesity rate is lower. The food regulations make sure that the food is not loaded with just, a bunch of addictive chemicals and these weird colors. And, you buy a soda and it's like bright neon orange in America. It's not like that in Europe. So I'm advocating for those policies. Yeah, I'm advocating for policies like that come to America to make us happier, healthier, to make life more affordable, to make sure we have we live longer and we have more fulfilling lives, and the air is cleaner. Like, that's the policies that Democrats go for. Republicans go for qualities of the third world. Okay, they want the whole country to be West Virginia, where we're all on welfare, that the AI data centers afford us, so we could just be cogs in the machine and watch AI YouTube slop videos. Like, that is what I see happening right now. They want us to be dumb. They want us to be mad about trans athletes instead of actual real issues. Because if everybody in America stopped being mad at immigrants, stopped being mad at trans athletes, and we instead were mad at the real problems, then there probably would be actual change, and we would not have a trillionaire, Elon Musk, who's an autistic freak. Sorry, I don't mean to use autistic as an insult. I meant descriptively. Not that it's an insult, but anyways, he's a freak who is objectively like tearing apart care for things like disability right now. If you're an autistic adult in America, Trump made 400,000 Americans be cut off from healthcare with his Medicaid and his Medicaid cuts. I think it was numbers like 400 or 500,000. Trump has made it normal and mainstream to make fun of autistic people, make fun of anyone with living with a disability.
Sensationalist name calling, right?
Yeah, well, Trump has done, like, remember when he's like, you ever see him mimic the reporter who has the one?
Yes.
He's like, oh, I don't know what I said. Like, he's literally like, he mainstreamed being a terrible dick to everybody.
But that's
as
not
president.
Normal. That's not a normal presidential behavior, So the only thing I would push back on that statement there is that in Democrat-run states, specifically like in California, in Washington, like, there is a more well, first of all, life or living is more expensive. So like, rent, all of these things, they're by percentages, it's more expensive to live in those states. They do raise the minimum wage, I understand, but raising the minimum wage doesn't necessarily constitute like better style of living. It kind of works into inflation because just
Yeah.
all the ways. So there is also bad aspects or negative aspects
Would
to
you
that.
agree that having a good area to live in increases the demand for people wanting to live there?
Yes,
It might
but
make it
you
more
have
expensive.
to, yes, absolutely. But you have to really focus on a good area of living. And one of the things that California struggles with so much is the homeless population, which is a very contentious problem, right? That stems honestly back until the 70s, into the 60s, into refrigerator mothers, and like all of this like stipulation on how mentally ill people are dealt with and like handled, and then Nixon and like all of this stuff went on where they abolished all this, all institutions, and then things went haywire, and we just haven't really had a response. And the response necessarily isn't to imprison people, but like institutionalizing people who have significant mental health problems is not abuse, it's control. And unfortunately, like there's just situations that have to be handled
Well, I
in
would.
a way that
I don't. There's a lot of issue. It's a very complicated issue. A lot of it is that
is.
very rich homeowners, even like, and a lot of these people are conservative as well. Like these very rich people, they don't want there to be. They don't want to build resources for homeless people, but they also don't want to see homeless people in society. So the solution is never found. But I would argue, even with that, like on a broad scale, if you're voting for and that can honestly be solved if you vote for different city council people or mayors or whatever. But on a broad scale for like Congress, because the homeless issue is largely going to be a state and local issue for most of it, for a lot of it. But if you're voting for Congress and you're voting for president, those are the issues I usually discuss on my stream, because it's hard if you talk about one particular situation in LA, because there's some good ones, some bad ones. And I'd rather have like a big sit down and be able to really analyze that specific situation, because it's like I said, it's pretty localized, and there's different needs everywhere based on the populations that you're going to be talking about. But when it comes to Congress and legislation through Congress, when a bill becomes a law, the president signs it, and the executive branch is able to execute the intention of that law and fulfill it. That's where I have this discussion, because we're talking about, Trump, your congressperson, your national politics. So that's usually how it's framed on my channel. And what I usually can focus on easier, because it's more broad policy across the entire nation. And there's very clear dividing lines on those things, on issues of corruption, on war, on data centers, on taxing the wealthy, on healthcare, and on all those policies. I think it's telling who you should vote for, just generally. And it could be like, you can not like some Democrats and like other Democrats, but you kind of know the party is going to be moving in the right direction on all these issues. And Republicans are going to hyper focus on issues that really evoke emotions. So trans, immigrant, homeless, socialist, Antifa, blah blah blah. It's going to be fear mongering.
But don't the Democrats do that too, with like white privilege and like white, guilt and things like that? Don't they kind of capitalize on some of those things too? Like, listen, I'll tell you,
Joe Biden and Obama never talked about any of that kind of stuff. Oh, you're from West Virginia? Oh, yes. I should have West Virginia a lot.
Dude, you're not. No, you're not. Trust me, it's true though. Like, I lived through the opioid epidemic. I'm not going to sit here and talk about my history right now, but like, I lived through the opioid epidemic. Like, I went through a bunch of shit. Like, I am in college for psychology. I am going to school to be like a behaviorist. Like, there's a lot of, however, like everything that you said is true, right? Like, there is a poor group of West Virginians that like don't understand certain things. Anyways, but my thing is like, okay, sure, Joe Biden doesn't said that, but Kamala Harris definitely did. Right. Okay. She definitely led into, the whole Nazi thing. And like, look, you can draw parallels and stuff like that. But name calling is name.
She never called Trump a Nazi. She called him a fascist, and he is 100% a fascist. But again, even with this issue, though, I would say the same exact thing, where we're talking about like the Trump radicalism controls their policy when it comes to what is going to affect your life directly about again, data centers, healthcare, water quality, air quality, the chance to live a happy and healthy life, and just community building in general. Democrats are going to be for those policies. Trump and Republicans are anti-America, in my opinion, on those policies. And I agree. And I will never say there's no negative parts of the left. I talk ad nauseum about, and I'm from the West Virginia of Pennsylvania. Okay, it's a shit. It's a shit. The old coal mining
I tried
towns.
to call you. It said Pennsylvania, some random county out there. So
yeah, well, it's like you can say that and still know. I criticize Democrats who start videos like, hey, listen here, white people. White people are too dumb to understand this basic concept because white people are colonizers. I speak out against that. I speak out against people who use like literal like neo pronouns. Like I knew someone who used the pronouns yum and yummy, and I speak out against that stuff. But I speak up for trans Americans. You know, I can reference the negative qualities of that, and also know that when it comes to the policy level and the Democratic Party, that is not what's controlling the party. And even if it was, these are academic conversations. For the Republicans, it's animosity, it's hatred, it's anger they want to enact through things like ICE, where we have innocent people being murdered, like in Maine, by a psychopath who's a known child abuser and wife abuser, with a bunch of corroboration on how terrible of a person they are. Their background check would not have passed to be a Walmart greeter, and they have a license to kill in America. And not only that, there's no investigation, there's no crime scene, there's no evidence. So like this shit is freaking nuts and balls and shit. Hey, I appreciate the conversation. I'll give you a final word. I'm too tired to keep going before I say something stupid, but I do appreciate the call.
it is completely fine. We can pick up where we left off. I appreciate the conversation as well and being allowed to come on here. I tried to get on here for like 20 minutes. I was like,
yeah, it is
I
random.
was like, yo, bro. No, it's just because I don't know how to navigate it. But
yeah,
I appreciate
and for anyone who's going to call in the future too, it's random based on who calls, when, and where. Sometimes if you join Discord, a mod in Discord lets me know that you're trying to call in. So we're using Discord right now. There are conversations happening in my Discord. I'm going to be ending stream, so anybody's welcome to come join. I usually hang out in my own Discord for like a half hour after stream, so I'll be there if anybody wants to come keep on chatting. But yeah, thank you for the call in.
Yep, appreciate it.
All right, peace. All right, guys. Like I said, please drop a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for all the donations. Pretty good stream tonight. We got some good views. 399 likes. 399 likes on YouTube Shorts. Really big, awesome. Now, obviously, the Tim Pool conversation carried the views and the Jubilee video, which is normal. That's okay. We had 2,000 viewers for that, though. That's okay, because we maintained, throughout most of my call-ins, we maintained an average of above 700 viewers. And then for the final hour, for the final half hour, we dropped to 400. For the final 15, 20 minutes, we dropped to like 300. So definitely really happy with those numbers. Happy with the TikTok numbers. Really appreciate you guys hanging out. Yeah, we got 500 viewers on TikTok earlier. We stayed around at 100, even for call-ins, which is pretty big. Really awesome to see. Thank you for the chatting. I saw Sasha in chat in all of my streams tonight on TikTok. One of our first multiple stream chatters in TikTok. Ducks and geese. Hey, but I'm ending my streams here. Join Discord, go to YouTube, go to Instagram. If you guys want to reach out to me with anything, if you want to talk about anything, reach out with any opportunities, any podcasts. If you want to call in, email jolapolitics@gmail.com. jolapolitics@gmail. jolapolitics@gmail.com. jolapolitics on Instagram. My DMs are open. I don't guarantee responses, but those are the two ways to reach out to me. And also on Discord. Join the Discord. Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good night. Ooh, I gotta get a better computer chair if I'm gonna be streaming this long, bro. And what happened to this? What happened, guys? Where are you guys at? Where's all the OGs? Dude, oh shit. I stopped streaming for so long. Now I'm putting up 3 hours a night, dude. Now I'm putting up 3 hours a night. 3 hours a night's huge for me. Yeah, thank you guys. All right. Cool. Cool. Thank you for all the donations and everything. What qualifies one to be recognized as trans? Huh, whatever makes sense. You go to bed. Shut up, Vandred. Just because you fell asleep doesn't mean we all fall asleep on the job, dumbass. Everyone called Vandred dumb. Right now. Call Van... No, I'm just kidding. Alright. I did slip my tongue when I called Elon Musk an autistic freak. I did not mean to call him that. Although I do agree with that sentiment, but I don't mean to say those words because, yeah, I don't know. I saw someone say it's kind of funny, and you can clip this for DGG. I really don't care. But Abdul El Sayed saying there should be a conversation, sitting around a table on how to best reach out to each other's voters after the primary. And Abdul was like, well, we should be more aggressive on ICE, for example, as a policy concern. And Haley Stevens is going around on Fox News, and her main concern is that El Sayed needs to get rid of Hassan Piker. And it's just like, you can not like Hassan and still think it's funny that the main ask is not like, hey, let's do a policy different. She's going on TV and saying, yeah, let's get rid of Hassan Piker. Anyways, vote Democrat, which is awesome. Hell yeah, I'm happy she voted for, she's pushing for Abdul. I've been glazing her on social media a lot, and McMorrow. And I don't mind them taking shots at each other. It just kind of happens. Like, if you endorse your primary opponent after a tough primary, you can take little shots. I saw Haley Stevens mention Bernie Sanders. You know, unlike Mr. Sanders, I endorse right away. And I'm like, you know what, Haley? As long as you're on the team, I'm fine with that. I really don't care. I saw Francesca Hong spoke at Crowley's rally tonight, too. The unity with Crowley. And Francesca Hong is really cool. Really cool. Alright guys, have a good night. See you in Discord for a little bit. Peace.